2 minutes in, he goes, "Do you know who this is?" I go, "I think it's Sonny Vaccaro."
That's cool.
What were you talking about?
It was mid-August. It was mid-April, and somehow it was something having to do with athletes and paying them and that sort of deal. It was a Saturday, late afternoon shift.
Mad Dog?
Yeah.
Hey, Paul.
Morning, Paul.
Yeah, how about that? That stunned me. After all the reports I had about how much better Newfoundland was from two different people, one that I trusted, didn't see that happening.
Well, I guess they won the 2 overtime games, though, right? I mean, the series could have gone very differently. But although, wait a minute, they lost game 4 in overtime, right? Weren't there 3 games? Didn't 2, 4, and 6 go overtime? They won 2 and 6.
A couple did. I was going to listen to it last night when I had to make a little drive, and they had the Rays on. So they must not have flown their broadcaster to Newfoundland.
Wow.
Or if they did.
Wow.
You do what you need to do for the app. Someone's saying local ads. Are we set for the app?
Yeah, we should be.
Okay.
Thank you, Don J. Got a text from my mother yesterday. She was very appreciative that she was able to find out David Sampson's middle name, and then she encouraged me strongly to shave. I got it, Mom.
I shave too, Mom.
Yeah. So, Felipe, if you want to know when it ends, I'm 57. Okay? It gives you an idea as to the statute of limitations as to how long moms worry about their kids' appearance.
Even at the end of air where they're running all the clips there. What's Mike say when he's giving his Hall of Fame speech? Mom's still parenting. I'm 46. Then you could be like my mom, who's given up a long time ago. She's just come to grips with it.
My mom might never give up.
Well, plus you still have grandma to deal with.
Right. I mean, oh yeah.
You're just beginning the
odyssey.
Odyssey.
She's bribing me with death to come home. She's like, we're going to die soon. I'm like, please don't do that. 10 seconds.
That is the card.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. It's the final day of May. Hope your week got off to a good start yesterday. Hope you had a good month. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you on this final day of May?
Ready to make a couple payments for June, David. You know how it goes. One month ends, another payment begins.
Wait, you can wait one more day, though, right? Hold on to it for one more day. If I were you, this is when you play golf. You gamble a little bit today. Okay, you've got money today. Tomorrow, there's a lot of money that leaves the account. You've got money today.
Let's go to the casino then, if that's the case.
Well, I said there's money. I didn't say there was a lot of money. I mean, come on now. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. So how's everybody doing? Last couple days. No basketball, no hockey. Okay, last night. How did everybody do? Okay, little withdrawals. I mean, you had to talk to somebody in your house last night. How'd that go? No?
Good night in our house, couple of games with the family, put the daughter to bed and sat down and watched a movie.
And by a couple games, you mean like board games, things like that?
It's a dice game. It's
Right,
more of a gambling game, but yeah. I mean, we teach our daughter early how to gamble in the house.
I was going to say, is money involved?
Yes.
Great. Outstanding. This really is a Catholic household. You walk in, there's a bottle of wines on the left, and you take a few steps to the right, this is the game room.
Yep.
By the way, you need some coins? We've got plenty of quarters and dimes. Here you go. Do you have anybody in the family who greased you with the old, as Chris Sims referred to it, the $100 handshakes? Did you have a relative who was good every time you saw them? You got, even if it was $1 as a kid.
Uncle Tom, my godfather. Whenever I would see him, even into my 20s, he tried to slap me cash.
Mr. English for me. One of my grandparents, my mom's parents' best friend. Every time it was the $5 handshake. Okay. And let me tell you, when you're 9, okay, he rises right up to the top of the list. I mean, $5 when you're 9. Now, of course, when I was 20, it was still a $5 handshake, but that's okay. That's all
got
right.
you beer. Nothing wrong with that.
Right. And besides, I mean, I was ahead of the game for so many years. So it's like, we're playing with house money here, Mr. English. Good to see you.
Yep. So. Uncle Tom was always good for it. And he was good as I got older. That 5 became a 20. And every once in a while, a birthday that he might feel really generous. And there might be a 50 in there.
Well, he probably, went to a casino the weekend right before money goes in the card.
That's it.
So, good. You always hoped Uncle Tom hit it big right before your birthday.
Oh, absolutely.
NBA Finals get underway tomorrow. Stanley Cup Finals get underway Saturday. You remember the Florida Panthers, ladies and gentlemen? Do you remember them? They've played in a week. A week tonight was when they wrapped up their conference finals. So how early do you head to Vegas, by the way, if you're a head coach? I know the Stanley Cup's on the line and all, but it is Vegas. I mean, how early? You think you fly in tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say to you,
Thursday, get a full day practice Friday, get a night, and then get ready for Saturday. Absolutely.
Because there's media and stuff that you're supposed to do. You're supposed to hype this, the biggest event. I was just wondering, do you fly in today? And you know how with the Super Bowl and all, sometimes they fly in and they just give them a day and a half to do media.
Boy, nothing like media day for the Florida Panthers and the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
Well, this is where they could introduce themselves to half of the national media. Guys, you got your name tags on? Okay, that's to the media who hasn't paid attention. Kachuk. You pronounce it Kachuk.
I happen to watch the driver intros of the Indy 500. I'm kind of imagining the same thing. They bring up the first line and announce them. Actually start at the fourth line, bring the third line. I literally, they could bring them out and introduce them and welcome new fans to the NHL. Right. Who are these guys?
Right. Kachuk or Kachuk, one or the other, depending on your accent. All right. But that's how you pronounce that first syllable. Ladies and gentlemen, TKA is Ka. Kachuk. Yeah, it's a silent T. Got it? Okay, he's really good, just so you know. First name Matthew, not Matt. Matthew. Got it? Okay, let's move on. So, anyway. Heat Nuggets tomorrow night. Panthers and Golden Knights. Someone's going to win the cup for the first time. That's exciting. And there's a chance for an NBA champion to win it for the first time also.
And obviously, we're pulling for the Panthers in this part of the country, but there is something spicy about Las Vegas being written on the Stanley Cup. I mean, they etched a name in right there on the cup. How? And to think that Las Vegas could be on Lord Stanley's Cup next to all those Canadian teams and those Islander teams and those Edmonton teams and going back to Canadian teams of days gone by, just the words Las Vegas on the cup would be ironic.
I don't know if Red Sox and Cubs fans can truly recall the pain and the angst for when the curse, the drought, was still underway. But Mark, I'm guessing for certain fan bases, like particularly in Toronto, but also, Buffalo, Philadelphia. Buffalo's never won it. Philly hasn't won the Cup since 75. And there are a few other franchises out there. Minnesota's never won the Cup.
How about the entire country of Canada?
Well, it's been 30 for the country. Yes. But I'm wondering if this is kind of like how Red Sox and Cubs fan felt in 2001 watching the Arizona Diamondbacks win the World Series. They couldn't root for the Yankees because, well, it was the Yankees. But then again, the Diamondbacks were an hour and a half old, and they were winning the World Series. And at the time, the Red Sox had not snapped the curse, and the Cubs were 15 years away from pushing the billy goat to the side. And I'm just wondering if this is, for certain hockey fan bases, looking at the Panthers, but particularly the Golden Knights, second trip to the finals in their 6 years of existence. They've been to 4 conference finals in their 6 years of existence. I mean, you could grow some pretty serious angst against the Las Vegas Golden Knights just out of jealousy and resentment, can't you? If you're quite a few fan bases in that sport.
I can certainly see some of the newer franchises being more I mean, I get what you're saying with the Torontos and that, but the Wild and Columbus and some of those teams weren't given the same opportunities as Vegas was in their expansion draft. And Vegas propelled themselves to a really good team right off the bat, where it wasn't set up that way for expansions teams before that. It was set up to fail for about 4 years before you had a chance to get good.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, think about it. Maybe it was the same way people felt in 97 about the Florida Marlins. That was what, year 5? Year 5. Never mind the fact they beat the Indians, who hadn't won it in nearly 50 years at that point. Now we're at 75. So, bunch of new teams in the NBA and NHL finals, Stanley Cup finals, pardon me. And, we're going to have at least 1, possibly 2 first-time champions in our spring sports here. Curious whether or not people embrace that or people are completely bored and turned off by it. You know what the predictions are, Mark. 37 people outside of South Florida. All right. Vegas and Denver apparently are going to watch television over the next 2.5 weeks.
Bored and turned off. At least in the NBA, they've got a 2-time MVP. Jimmy Butler's been a story from a national standpoint. They can throw a little bit there, but hockey there's no real story other than the surprise run of the Florida Panthers.
Correct. I mean, Vegas has been a good team throughout. They were the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. They had the most points. Hockey doesn't do their playoffs the way basketball does, but they had the most points out west. And here we go. Let's get it on. I'm ready. I wish it was tonight. Damn Dallas Stars had to win a couple games. Pushed this all the way back to Saturday. Going to have an amazing run next week, though, in South Florida. Going to have 4 consecutive nights and potentially 5 out of 6 nights in which either the NBA or Stanley Cup finals are taking place. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday of next week, we are guaranteed games in the NBA and Stanley Cup finals. And then there's a good chance, unless there's a sweep, that we're going to have game 5 of the NBA finals a week from Monday in Miami as well. Damn. That's pretty good. Let's just hope we have some series, right? Let's get a little 1-1-2-2 going. Let's have this be interesting. Let's have some drama. Playoffs have been great. Don't want to see anybody winning 5 or anything like that. Come on, let's get some series here. NBA going with the 2-3-2 format for travel. Hockey going with the 2-2-1-1-1.
All right, I've actually got basketball going 2-2-1-1.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
they switched that back?
I thought they did a while ago, but yeah, because I'm looking at Monday, June 12th as Miami's at Denver.
Oh, okay. Then both are 2-2-1-1.
They're both 2-2-1-1.
My bad. My bad. All right. So you got those 4 games in a row then, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and next week. Okay.
Where the entire sports world will be in South Florida.
Yeah.
Well, they'll be in Miami for the NBA Finals. There'll be a couple of people in Sunrise for the hockey.
Yeah, it will be interesting to find out, do any of the basketball media even attend the hockey? And they can get in for free, folks. And it'll be interesting to see if they even go. Miller and Moulton. Got a good show lined up for you on a hump day during the offseason. Pat Kirwan joins us and Seth Everett joins us. Little football. And boy, did we get a major streaming story last night. It's begun, Mark. It is underway.
And this was not supposed to happen this year, and it did. We'll let you know about that and everything else that's going on in the sports world. The starting 5, a mere 25 minutes away right here. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Your mic's not on again, David. I didn't hear what you said there. Now it is.
DC, I don't know what you're talking about. I really don't. East Coast bias. What the hell is East Coast bias? You really think people know who are on the Golden Knights? Hockey fans don't know who's on the Golden Knights. Never mind the public and the national media. No way.
I had Cubs Rays on the side TV, and I watched the movie Air last night.
I watched Cubs Rays.
Now, do you get the Marlins anymore in Jacksonville, or do you just get the
I get them
Rays?
both.
Okay.
No, it works out great for me. I get them both. I actually followed the Blades, though, online. I didn't watch it.
DC, what's the story with the Golden Knights then? Tell me. The number 1 seed got to the finals. That's what they're supposed to do. The story of the playoffs is Florida upsetting the 3 best teams in the East. But what's the national story been about the Golden Knights that I've missed?
Yeah, he does. 6 a.m. too, he wants to start arguing. It's very endearing. Well, Stroman had been pitching well on Tuesday, but they should have done more last night. They couldn't put anything together. Just about everybody in the lineup got on base. They just never put anything together. Gotta bet the Rays and the Braves hard today, don't you?
Man, I don't know. What Braves got to be -3 something. Wow, you can get the Braves at -230.
For some reason, the Rays-Cubs game I have listed as off the board.
I've got the Rays -143.
Okay.
That's a hell of a story, DC. In fact, we just got done talking about it in the last segment. Literally talked about what it means for the rest of the NHL franchises. I mean, you did you not hear, David? It's literally exactly what we just talked about. But thank you for bringing that up.
I think DC needs to do his own show.
You know what, DC, you're right. In fact, come on down to the station. I'll take the rest of the day off and you can fill in. I don't make any goddamn money doing this. This thing's about to go away. We've got one fucking sponsor. We got a boss that doesn't give a shit.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan, Seth Everett to join us a little bit later on the show. So this is not the sexiest story. And so to bring it up at this hour might not be smart of me to do. But it's significant. So, a couple months back, we were talking about this whole, Bally Sports, this bankruptcy and the regional channels and what that could mean for you, the sports fan. And Mark, help me out here, but so far, has it affected a single sports fan?
No. No, and it hadn't affected a single sports team
until today. So the Marlins hosted the Padres last night. San Diego with 5 in the ninth to win, by the way. And apparently that is the last Padres game that will appear on basically their version of, Bally Sports, their regional channel. Because the company that owns these regional channels, they're in bankruptcy and they're trying to negotiate their way out. And they have basically, they're trying to blackmail. That's how I look at it. Do you see it that way, Mark? Do you call it negotiating or blackmailing?
I call it defaulting.
Well, that's certainly what they ended up announcing yesterday. But it looks as if, streaming is the future, right? I mean, hell, even the NFL streaming Thursday Night Football, and they're going to stream a wild card playoff game. They have an international game that's streaming only. Sunday tickets going to YouTube. You get the idea. So what this regional cable network is trying to do is they're saying, listen, we're going to default on these payments unless you give us the streaming rights to these teams. We'll keep making the cable payments if you give us the streaming rights, because we can't pay our bills doing this cable TV thing, but we'll be able to pay our bills, and it'll help you because more people will be able to see your games, right? And Major League Baseball and the teams have said to, whether it's Diamond Sports or Sinclair or whatever the name of the company is, they've said, go pound sand. And so Diamond Sports announced yesterday, well, if you're not going to give us the streaming rights to the Padres games, this will be our last Padres game. We're done. And so Major League Baseball, beginning today, Mark, they are swooping in. Do they show up with the yellow raincoats? I mean, how do you swoop in if you're Major League Baseball? Is there an official outfit? Is there yellow crime tape? I mean, how do you show? How do you raid?
And Hoffman in the movie Outbreak? Are they all in hazmat suits for crying out loud? What the hell are you talking about over there?
That's what I'm wondering. If you're MLB, do you show up like it's a raid, like you're the FBI? I mean, do you have hard hats? Is there a color? I mean, how do you pull this off?
I think, I love anytime there's costumes, David. Big fan of that. But that's all fun and games, but this is a 20-year, $1.2 billion deal that they're walking away from, that they've defaulted on.
Correct.
That, to me, is the lead, the 1.2 billion, particularly when you look at the Padres, who have an astronomical payroll that I would just guess, not that smart, but I would think that this television rights deal has a lot to do with being able to pay players' salaries.
Mark, I don't know their books, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're right.
Again, not privy to the Padres' books.
Right.
But they have been spending like drunken sailors because they have a 20-year, $1.2 billion deal with Diamond Sports, or had.
That's $60 million a year on average. All right. Now, I will say the Padres are literally going to sell out all 81 games this year. In fact, they've been averaging more than 100% capacity. I mean, the community's all in, the whole deal. They're making as much money as you can at the quote-unquote gate. But this is $60 million a year. I mean, this is their left side of their infield. I mean, this is Machado and Tatis being paid for. Not anymore. So MLB swooping in, beginning today. And Mark, you used to send out press releases for 15, 20 years of your life. Easy, maybe more. I mean, MLB, they are spinning, baby. Spinning. This is great news, Padres fans, because we're now damn near tripling the number of you who can catch Padres games. course, you're going to have to, beginning Monday, pay $19.99 a month or $74.99 for the year. But there'll be 3 times as many people who can catch Padres games as who could before. That's right, Padres fan.
I mean, the other part of this to me is not that there's anybody out there buying sports rights for, not that there's another avenue for them to put their games on, but you would think they're going to get their rights back. If Diamond defaults, could they go out and make another deal? But who's out there making, no one's out there making these types of deals for baseball teams right now.
Right. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if a local affiliate, particularly during the summer, it's not like there's a lot of original programming provided by network television. I mean, if we owned a CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox affiliate in San Diego, with as popular as the Padres are, I mean, it's their only professional team. Don't give me indoor soccer or lacrosse or anything like that. I mean, this is their only professional team. They're a BFD in that community. In between newscasts, you could show Padres games. And by the way, they have maybe the best local broadcast in the business. Don Orsillo and Mark Davis have won Emmys. They're so good. Funny. And Orsillo, who was great doing Red Sox games, it moved to San Diego and has, just continued. But anyway, so that's one. And apparently there are 4 other baseball teams in which, well, they've only made half payments to. They're kind of doing the same deal. Well, we'll send this check we've got written right here. I could take a picture of it for you. We'll send it to you, but you got to give us your streaming rights. And the Reds and the Rangers and the Diamondbacks and the Guardians are like, no, it's not how it works. You pay to broadcast the games on your regional cable channel. They're like, yeah, that's not working for us anymore. So
I don't know what to tell you. That's the deal that we made.
Right. I got it right here. I'm reading the paragraph. Look at page 3, paragraph 12, section B. It's right there. So it's underway, Mark. It's underway. And we talked about this too. Like, the broadcasters are fine. None of them are losing any gigs. Although pre and post MLB said, not quite sure what we're doing before and after the games. But we'll keep paying the guys who are under, because apparently Orsillo and Davis and them are under contract to the Padres. So they're good. But the camera people, the production people, they're all freelancers. I have a feeling they're getting a pay cut.
And they'll have no real choice because it's either work or don't get paid.
Right. Make 70 cents on the dollar or go home with no cents on the dollar.
So that is the story outside the diamond that we will be paying attention to most this year. And it started in San Diego, or with San Diego, yesterday. The starting 5 to catch up on all the scores you may have missed is next right here, Florida Sports Network. And Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this Wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
It's baseball till football starts, Ambien, and golf on the weekends. I even watched a little French Open yesterday. People were raving about that 5-setter, so I threw it on.
The seedings kill me. Okay. So since Nadal's not playing, who should the number 1 seed be?
Djokovic.
Right. He's the 3rd seed.
The 2nd seed got knocked out yesterday.
Right.
Who's the 1 seed?
Is it Alcaraz?
Alcaraz, yeah, Carlos. He won the U.S. Open.
Yeah, I got it. Djokovic wasn't allowed to play.
Oh, right. True. Alcaraz is amazing. I guess you'd say Alcaraz. I think he's only like 21 as well.
Yeah, I'm going to take Djokovic. You can have the field. And I know he's only won it twice, but he's had this Rafa guy he's had to go through about 12 times.
Yeah, Carlos Alcaraz is 20 years old. My God, he just turned 20. I'd love to see them face off.
Well, in theory,
yeah,
they either will in the semis or the final.
That's why we watch this.
Well, no one watches this.
Oh, I love the French Open. Big fan of the Roland Garros.
Yeah, Canada relief. It's all but over. I don't think anybody's getting a 20. I mean, these three are ridiculous. Sampras is fourth with 14.
Ten seconds.
Canada relief, I'd call it boring.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes before the top of the hour. A little over an hour away from Pat Kirwan and Seth Everett here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. A couple of interesting sports stories out there and a full night of baseball as well. Here's what you missed, starting with
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Shane McClanahan takes the loss, his first of the season after 8 wins. He gave up 2 runs in 5 2/3. Second game in a row in which the Rays bats were sleeping. 7 hits. Couldn't put anything together. Cubs beat them 2-1. They've won the first 2 games of this series.
As good as Tampa's been this year, they're 10-10 in one-run games.
Did you have to back up the truck on the Rays today at Wrigley? I mean, Cubs going to sweep them? Got to bet the other way, don't you?
I would have to.
Meanwhile, Orioles pick up a game on the Rays. They're just 3 back. They beat the Guardians 8-5. Judge hit his 18th homer. He leads the American League. Yankees 5 back after their 10-2 win over Seattle. Reds led 8-0. Only to have the Red Sox score 5 in the 9th to make it interesting since he beat Boston 9-8. Toronto had 14 hits. Milwaukee had 4. I think you could tell who won the game. Blue Jays 7-2. Vlad Jr. with 3 of those hits. Padres 5 in the 9th to beat the Marlins 9-4. Alcantara had a 4-2 lead in the 7th. Couldn't get out of the inning. He has not looked anything like he did last year when he won the Cy Young, and he was the best pitcher in baseball last year. He's got an ERA around 5 so far this year. Not only have the Cubs beaten the Rays 2 in a row, the A's have beaten the Braves 2 in a row.
Break them up, David. They're rolling.
Their second 2-game winning streak of the year. Error in the 9th by Atlanta allowed the winning run to score. 2-1 Oakland before. Here we go. I'll give you an over-under of 5,000.
Oh, I'll go under.
I'll go under 2.
5,116.
Oh, and we thank you.
Safe travels home. Remember, today's a mighty nooner out there, 12:30. They'll have a big crowd. They'll have 8,000 today. They'll go nuts. Phillies were held to 2 hits. Tough to win that way. Mets beat them 2-0. Pirates beat San Francisco 2-1 to get Pittsburgh back to 500. Cardinals beat the Royals 2-1. Miles Mikolas 8 shutout innings for St. Louis. Arizona hit 3 homers. They beat Colorado 5-1. Dodgers 9-3 over Washington. Freddie Freeman is hot. He's having a great year. 19-game hitting streak. I mean, Mark, just think about it. He's a third of the way to DiMaggio. I mean, if he gets a hit every game in the month of June, he'll be about a week and a half away. He could get a hit every game between now and the All-Star break. I think he'd be just short of the 56 games. It'd be close. Freeman had 4 hits last night, 9-3 Dodgers. Texas, they beat Detroit 10-6. How about this for a major league debut? So Texas has this young pitcher, Grant Hudson. They threw him on the mound in the middle innings. A high-scoring game. It's like, 7-6 Texas. Hey, kid, hold down the fort, will you? I want to get to the back end of the bullpen. He said, okay, Skip. 2 2/3 innings. 7 strikeouts out of the 8 outs in his major league debut. That's not bad. Houston beat Minnesota 5-1. See, this is the beauty of baseball. The Astros are 10 games over 500, and they're 3 back in second, while the Twins are a game over 500, and, well, they're in first. White Sox over the Angels 7-3, despite Ohtani hitting his 13th homer of the season. We talked about it last segment. Diamond Sports Group. They own all those Bally's regional channels. They decided not to pay the Padres their latest rights fee payment. And so San Diego's rights now revert to Major League Baseball beginning today with the Padres game against the Marlins. The games will air for free right on through Sunday via streaming and different cable channels. But then beginning next Monday on MLB.tv and MLB.com, $19.99 a month or $74.99 for the rest of the year. Now, I will say, if you're canceling your cable, this is a hell of a deal. But if not, it's going to, for the short term, it's going to cost you, the sports fan. But by the way, this is going to increase the number of people that can see Padres games from apparently a little over 1 million to a little over 3 million. And no more blackouts, which is a major issue, actually, with baseball fans around the country who can't see their team. Don Orsillo and Mark Grant, the broadcasters, they're paid by the team, so they're good. The production people, they're paid by Diamond Sports Group. So now with Major League Baseball coming in, we'll see if MLB will do the right thing and A, keep everybody, and B, keep paying them 100% of what they're signed on to work for. Mark,
don't hold your breath.
Right. What do you think the odds are of that?
I don't think they're very good.
Diamond Sports Group had said to the Padres, we'll continue to pay you the $60 million a year if you give us your streaming rights. This cable thing's not working for us. If you give us the streaming, we can pay the bills. And Padres said, Major League Baseball said, yeah, that's not going to happen. The Reds, the Rangers, the Diamondbacks, and the Guardians are also owed money. And the thought now is, if those 4 teams do like the Padres and go, we're not giving you our streaming rights, well, then MLB is going to have to swoop in and start broadcasting their games also. NBA Finals get underway tomorrow night in Denver. Nuggets now a 9-point favorite in Game 1.
Love the points, for the record. Love the Heat and the points in Game 1. I know they went through the 7-game series. I know that they're exhausted mentally and physically, but I think Game 1's the better shot to get one in Denver if you're Miami.
Teams usually come out strong both ways in Game 1 of the finals.
8:30 tomorrow night on ABC. By the way, in other NBA news, Bob Myers not returning to the Warriors. He's responsible for every player not named Steph Curry, which is kind of like Jerry Krause claiming he's responsible for every part of the Bulls dynasty minus Michael Jordan. But Bob Myers not returning to Golden State. I will say, everybody associated with that franchise loves the guy. The players, I mean, Draymond even loves him. So be interesting to see where Bob Myers ends up.
And Draymond doesn't like anything.
Not really.
Including Boston fans that he went out of his way to trash yesterday on a podcast.
On his podcast.
Knicks general manager Scott Perry will not return Some could argue he was GM in name only. I mean, Leon Rose and Worldwide West have really been running the Knicks for a couple years. Stanley Cup Finals get underway Saturday. Remember the guy who stepped in last year as Panthers head coach, Andrew Burnett? Led him to the President's Trophy and led them to their first playoff victory in over 20 years, and then was not brought back in favor of Paul Maurice. Well, Andrew Burnett is going to be the next head coach in Nashville. And the Capitals, Mark, did what you have long advocated teams should do. They hired a new guy, Spencer Carberry, who worked his way up in the Capitals affiliates and then went to be a lead assistant in Toronto. He resurrected their power play the last 2 years. He's being brought back to the Caps organization as their head coach. One other hockey note, Florida Everblades made it to the Kelly Cup Finals last night in double overtime. They beat Newfoundland. Mark, when you were there, it's Boise and the Everblades in the Kelly Cup Finals, and apparently this is the first time in the history of the Kelly Cup Finals that two teams who have met previously for the Cup will meet again.
Well, I can see that because a lot of teams have moved and gone on, and that league's changed team names. I mean, it's a minor league, so I can see that. And with them expanding west and everywhere else, it makes sense.
So the Blades trying to repeat as Kelly Cup champions. They're back in the finals. NFL news. So, we're at the voluntary workouts right now. Did you see how many Jags showed up for the voluntary workouts? How about 88 out of 90? Only two guys didn't show up. Defensive end Josh Allen and tight end Evan Ingram. And Ingram has a reason. He hasn't signed his tag yet. He can't show up. He's technically not under contract. He's like Saquon Barkley. Barkley can't work out with the Giants. He hasn't signed his tag. So, Jags are all in. That's the big story, Mark, coming out of Jacksonville. Jags are all in, baby. And with Calvin Ridley, they're going to be dynamic. That's all I'm hearing, Mark.
And they should be, and that's a division that's there for the taking. Let's just see if they can handle the pressure of being the favorite.
Well, it's not only a division they should win. This crossover schedule that the teams in the AFC South have, I mean, the Jags, if they really have their act together, could seriously challenge to be the number one overall seed. That's how much easier their schedule is than the AFC West and certainly the AFC East teams have. Commanders, they're still called that for the time being, plan to release injured guard Andrew Norwell if Washington waits one more day and they cut him after June 1st. They'll save $4.4 million. And did you hear John Gruden was kind of sort of back in the NFL last week and weekend?
Yeah, did some consulting work.
The Saints went and got his former quarterback, Derek Carr. And so they called Gruden and said, hey, can you just hang out with us for a few days, practice, meetings, just tell us about Carr, strengths, weaknesses, what he likes, doesn't like, and just help us out a little bit. So they spent 3.5 years together before Gruden's emails were exposed. And nobody else's, by the way, just Gruden's. It's an amazing coincidence, isn't it? Anybody find that to be? College football news. Kirby Smart calls it, quote, Mark, the most overrated conversation in the world, unquote. What is he talking about? Whether or not the SEC team should play 8 or 9 games in a conference schedule.
Most overrated conversation in the world.
Yes, because the one thing, if you ask Auburn and Georgia fans, Alabama and Tennessee fans, Texas and Texas A&M fans, Arkansas and A&M fans, one of the most overrated things you could bring up is whether or not these teams should play football against one another every year. Absolutely, completely overrated and misguided. LSU's Brian Kelly was asked point blank yesterday, you want to play Alabama every year? His answer, hell yeah. I'm rooting for LSU.
Love me some Brian Kelly.
Yep.
You may not like him. And there's a lot of reasons to not like him, but he's honest.
He's got a fake Southern accent. He can't dance, but he can coach, and he wants to, line him up. Let's go. This is big boy football. All right. I'm with you, Coach. One other college sports note. Gators rallied late, beat the Noles in the men's golf semifinals in extra holes, and now Florida and Georgia Tech will play match play today for the men's college golf national championship. Boy, that's got to hurt. Bad enough losing in the semis. Lose to your arch rivals? Damn. Apparently the Noles were like winning all their matches late too. Gators like won all the late holes and then won in extra holes. It's not like they were rubbing it in on Twitter or anything. I hardly saw anything about it. And it's 7 minutes before the hour. That was
the starting five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So there wasn't a lot of gentlemanly conduct then, what you're saying, following the golf match?
No. Well, golf is a game of honor, Mark. Of course, in this case, it's more like honor amongst thieves, right? But anyway, it's a game of honor. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for being with us. Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, Amby and Gruden was the only guy they were interested in getting. Although my guess is they also got stuff on Snyder, and behind the scenes, it's why he agreed to leave, is my guess.
Ambien, I don't think David's going to agree with you on that one, considering that he works for the analyst on Monday Night Football, but, to each his own.
I'm a little biased towards the current guy, but, I love that guy.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. A hump day, final day of May in 2023. Hope your week, for those of you that had the holiday off on Monday, got off to a good start yesterday. Hope this was a good month, for that matter, as we head to June tomorrow and the NBA Finals come with it. Mark, if it's okay, I'd like to revisit what Kirby Smart calls, and I quote, the most overrated conversation in the world, unquote. And that's SEC scheduling. The conference has played 8 conference games, and the thought was they'd go to 9, particularly when Oklahoma and Texas join the conference beginning next year.
Particularly when Greg Sankey wanted to go to 9 and Nick Saban seemed to be in support of 9.
Right. And I will say, Eli Drinkowitz had a funny comment. He's the Missouri head coach, by the way, for those of you that don't know. And I Could see why you wouldn't. He's the football coach at Missouri. But he said, I'm a history teacher, and every time I come to these SEC meetings, it's amazing to me that we actually got this country off the ground, that 13 colonies could agree on everything they had to agree on when we can't get 14 schools to agree on how many games to play. Thought that was a pretty good line.
It is a good line. It's disturbing at the same time.
Right.
Because they can't come to an agreement on how many games to play.
Kirby's attitude bothers me. First off, Kirby's attitude bothers me 24/7, 365. But on this topic, it bothers me because he makes it sound, we play 8 conference games with 1 common opponent. We play 9 with 3, whatever. No, actually, this means a lot to the people who truly pay your salary. No, really. I mean, they would love for you to do what you've done. Yes. But no, you've got to play, you got to play Auburn every year. You got to play Georgia Tech every year. We'd also really like it if you played, some of the states we border. South Carolina, Tennessee, and Florida, if we could.
But the Georgia fan, it's Florida first, it's Auburn second, and it's Tech third. And Auburn's a lot closer to Florida than you would think in terms of what means the most to the Georgia fan.
And so going forward, if it's just 8 conference games with only 1 common opponent guaranteed every year, well, that opponent for Georgia is Florida, which means the oldest rivalry in the South, 127 meetings, will not take place every year. That's Auburn. They're connected by a highway, pretty much. This means a lot to them. It means a lot to both sides. I mean, the fans, we don't ask for hardly anything. We want you to win, but we don't ask for much. Mark, what does the college football fan ask for?
Wins and rivalries, history, the tradition. And when tradition goes back nearly 130 years between 2 schools, there's some there.
I mean, for A&M, apparently the guaranteed game will be LSU. Now, I will say in 10 years, they've developed a nice little rivalry. They've had some classic games. They actually genuinely, in a short period of time, don't like each other. It's, okay, cool. But that means A&M's not guaranteed to play Texas and Arkansas. A&M's like, what the hell are we in this conference for then? Seriously, besides the money. I mean, come on. How can you bring Texas into the conference and us not play Texas? Now, we didn't want them in the conference, but once you bring them here, we got to play them. But Texas is going to what? They're going to play Oklahoma. That's there. Well, if we only get one. Now, Mark, you and I would approach this differently. You would be classy. Okay, you would try to bring the sides together. I would instruct the person responsible for the scheduling to sit down and come up with the absolute worst schedule possible for 2024. I would say, I want you to take the East and play nothing but the West schools. And I want you to take the West schools and play nothing but the East, except for one crossover. That's what I want. I want these fans to see the worst schedule imaginable, and we're going to put the blame on the coaches because that's who's responsible. Sorry. No, Georgia and Auburn, you ain't going to play. Georgia and Tennessee, you ain't going to play. Georgia, South Carolina, you ain't going to play. Nope. I can schedule. You can play Arkansas, the 2 Mississippis.
Alabama and LSU, not going to happen. Alabama and Tennessee, not going to happen.
No, you'll play Auburn. And otherwise, you'll play the East.
Ole Miss, you'll play Mississippi State.
Yep.
Rest of your schedule, how about Missouri, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, and Kentucky? Hello.
Yep, absolutely. This is what you guys want? We'll do it.
Because the Mississippi schools, by the way, are at least partially in the 8-game camp. Because what do they want to do? They want to go to a bowl game.
I will say Lane wants 9. Mississippi State wants 8. Arkansas, Kentucky, South Carolina, and Mississippi State are the 4 that were locked in wanting 8. Stoops at Kentucky's been adamant about it. Mark, apparently, because they have to play Louisville.
Well,
they
can't bar the door. I mean, if Louisville's on the schedule, how the hell can you have 9 conference games?
They can't play. Can't play anybody else. I mean, 8 SEC games in Louisville? Oh, man. I mean, we're lucky if we don't forfeit the other 3 games. We're exhausted. Now, I'll say this. Nick Saban has stepped up. You know, up until they went to Texas last year, you know how many true road, Power 5 teams Nick had played in his first 15 years at Alabama? Before he went to Texas last year. You know how many? 1. Penn State. He did a home and home with Jopa in the early 2010s. It was either 10-11 or 11-12 where he did the home and home. Penn State wasn't particularly good those 2 years either. Alabama was. So the games weren't that challenging. But Mark, okay, Nick's point now is he's like, I kind of scheduled out because, well, we were at 8. Like this year. Okay, he's Texas. But next year, his home and home, his big one, he's at Wisconsin. 2025, he's at Florida State and home for Wisconsin. 26, he's at West Virginia, home for Florida State. Now, he's also got 2 meetings at home with South Florida in the next 4 years, but that's besides the point. In 2027 right now, he's home for West Virginia. He's at Ohio State. In 28, he's home for Ohio State. He's at Oklahoma State. In 29 and 30, he's got a home and home with Notre Dame. Now, then he's got some, I mean, you know, Arizona, Minnesota, Boston College, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech. I mean, you know, in the 2030s, it's you know, it sounds impressive, but it's not really.
Good for Nick. And way to really go out there and schedule tough games. And it's about damn time that you played a road game. We're going to 12.
Right.
We're going to 12.
Right.
We're talking about at-large bids, the SEC, and a 12-team playoff. I'm not worried about Alabama.
You know, some of the schools are saying, well, you know, we'll have to buy our way out of games. Well, you buy your way out of games. I don't know what to tell you.
Georgia just got done doing it. Or came to an agreement with Oklahoma because they had 2 scheduled with Oklahoma. That's why Ball State's on their schedule. That was supposed to be Oklahoma. But the first game was this year. The next one was down the road when they're in the conference, so they had to terminate the contract.
So, anyway, Sankey's behind the scenes advocating for 9. He's all but said it publicly, but not officially. Nick's like, well, I think we should only play Power 5 schools, which is interesting because I could rattle off some of the non-Power 5 games he's got lined up here in the next couple of years. I mean, Mark, he's got Chattanooga this year at home before he plays Auburn.
Choo-choo.
He's got Mercer the next year at home before
football now for Auburn. Less than 10 years.
Right. He's got Eastern Illinois in 2025 before he plays Auburn.
Text me the nickname. I'll find a gift to give you without looking it up.
So, anyway, I mean, at least Mark Stoops is, you know, come on, the lesser programs that they want to make it as easy as possible on them so they can get the 6. That gets them going to a bowl. That likely gets them a contract renewal. I mean, they're being very selfish here. Sankey's trying to say, listen, better scheduling is better for the conference. It really is. Here would be my argument, Mark. And if you're Kirby and you don't want to hear a word I have to say, could I win you over with this? You lose a non-conference game to a Power 5 team, that is much more damaging to you than to lose a conference game. We should, if we're going to lose games, we should lose them against each other. Why? We're the best. Everybody's recognized us as the best. And so people would just say, well, you know, it's like the NFL, you know, they beat each other up. Okay, you go and play a home and home with Wisconsin, and you lose in Madison. Spin that sucker for the rest of the year. You could spin losing to South Carolina. You really can. You can't spin losing to Wisconsin. That would be my argument. If we're going to lose, we need to lose to each other.
Look, I have trouble even playing the role of Kirby Smart here because I find this to be utterly ridiculous that they're only going to play 8 conference games. They're doing it so that coaches can make bowl games, which we all know are the most irrelevant football games of the year.
Well, that's the other thing, Mark. I mean, let's really get real. You lose money on these bowl games. How many teams even pay their bills? There's very few bowls. You can count them on 2 hands, the bowls in which teams actually come back and they go, wow, we made $80 on this game. On the other 30 games, teams lose money on. This is made for television programming for ESPN. If I were these schools, by the way, I would ask ESPN to subsidize my losses. Otherwise, we're not interested.
With more and more players opting out of the bowl games going forward, you don't know what kind of roster you're going to have for bowls. But the coaches have to get there because that's what's important, because that keeps a job. If the coach can make a bowl game, David, well, then everything's okay. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan coming up in 45 minutes right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
All right, okay, music. Did you look it up? Did you know it or did you look it up? It took a while for you to get that in there. That looks like that was looked up. I'm not trying to call you out here. I appreciate you giving me the Panthers, but did you look it up?
Jim, with all the illegal practicing and workouts that goes on, okay, the extra bowl practice, it's all a joke. It's all a joke. It's a con. The bowl games could go away.
Very good. Okay.
I would load Kirby's schedule up if I was Sankey. I'd be like, okay, he doesn't want to. Fine, yep. Give him Alabama,
LSU, Texas, Oklahoma,
right, but don't give him Auburn,
and don't give him Tennessee.
Nope. So he plays. In fact, you can give him the whole West, but Auburn, Florida, and the whole West. That'd be great. By the way, here's another thing. You know, A&M joined the conference in 2012. You know how many times they played Georgia? In 11 seasons in the SEC. You know how many times A&M's played Georgia? Once. In Athens. It rained. We were there. Hops, they do it for the exposure, and they do it because ESPN wants the games to take place, and they pay for them. It is insane, Hops, but the schools look at it as
advertising.
Yeah, we lose $500,000, but we got a 4-hour infomercial.
Just for the record, David, I had this and I couldn't get it out quick enough. Freeman, during his streak here, has 13 multi-hit games and is batting .449 with 21 RBI.
That's hot.
35 of 78. Damn. That's pretty good.
Keep that handy. Might go there.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Game 1 of the NBA Finals tomorrow night in Denver. Nuggets a 9-point favorite. 9-point favorite. That's exactly what the Celtics were, basically, give or take a half a point for games 1, 2, and 7 at home against the Heat. Vegas going to the well again, baby. So are the gamblers. I just cannot bet against the Heat enough. Okay.
But I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, I know your reasoning. Yeah.
The 1 seed.
Yeah, right.
Who's kind of rolled through these playoffs. As Miami's done their thing. Denver's done their thing as well.
Right. By the way, if you do the math, 8-0 at home. Also, I get it. They haven't lost at home. Right. Heat, by the way, 6-4 on the road. It's a lot of road wins. Just saying. But so anyway, tomorrow night, 8:30 ABC for the NBA Finals. Stanley Cup Finals Sunday night, 8 o'clock TNT. Kenny Albert, Eddie Olczyk, Keith Jones in between the glass will have the coverage for the Turner boys getting their first Stanley Cup final.
At what point does Barkley make an appearance?
Well, don't you think it's when the series shifts to sunrise that he will find his way to one of the finals games in Miami?
And I was thinking, wow, that's funny. I was thinking totally the opposite. He's a Phoenix guy. That's home.
True.
So I was thinking games 1, 2, or 5.
That he'd make the short trip to Vegas.
Right.
Interesting. By the way, I did not realize this. Apparently, he's lost like 60 pounds.
Yes, he has.
Good for him. Shaq lost a bunch of weight recently. Now Chuck. And he's kind of sort of fixed his golf swing. I mean, that's pretty good for late in life. Lose 60 pounds, fix your golf swing. That's 2 big challenges there, Chuck.
Got that right. Need to do both of those things.
Right. Give him a lot of grief for not winning an NBA title. I'd argue losing the 60 pounds and fixing your golf swings harder than winning a championship, but we could have that debate another day. Hey, you brought up something during the break. I'd like to pick up on that and share it with the rest of our audience. So we pointed out in the starting 5 that Freddie Freeman's got a 19-game hitting streak. And we joked. We said, well, he's a third of the way to DiMaggio.
But it's not just a 19-game hit streak. Of the 19 games, 13 have been multi-hit games. He's 35 for 78 during the span. That's a .449 batting average with 21 ribbies. 5, he had a home run, so it's his 5 home runs during this stretch.
And I'm not just asking you and Felipe, asking the audience. Would somebody chasing DiMaggio's hit streak bring you to baseball this summer?
It would for me, because I've started, David, now the first number's been a 5 for a while. I have just started drifting into baseball land.
Oh, I know. You're damn near
demographic.
You're still a little young for baseball. What are you, 53? You're a little young, but you're getting there. You're getting there.
But my go-to most nights when there's not other sports on is I've been watching the Rays on a nightly basis. And a lot of the time I'll throw MLB Network on the other TV and just whatever regional coverage they have. And they'll get to the point, David, where they'd be breaking in for every at-bat.
Felipe, is there a hit streak in your lifetime that you remember?
Because not off the top of my head, but I mean, Judge's streak last year kind of brought me back.
And that's just for home runs.
Right, but it forced me because of the way that they were covering. But
right.
I think something like this would. I mean, the Dodgers are on national television a lot, so it would be easy to watch, and I think I would watch.
Because, now granted, Mark, you were, very young. I was young when Rose had his 44-game hit streak. Now, baseball was the number 1 sport in the country at the time. That was, I believe, late 70s, 77, 78, something like that. But, I mean, obviously, you start to get mid-30s and upper 30s and you get into the 40s. I mean, it's like, wow, somebody's going after DiMaggio here. I mean, every Pete Rose at bat, it was harder, obviously, to see the games. I mean, you can't wait till Saturday afternoon, NBC. It's like, did Rose get a hit? But I'm just wondering because baseball's not really a national sport anymore. It's a regional sport. It's a local sport. It's a beautiful, huge regional and local sport, but there's not a lot of national to baseball anymore. I'm just wondering, if somebody took a serious run, they went 5 weeks getting a hit in every game. I remember Santiago at a 39-game hitting, Molitor at 39, I think Benito Santiago at 39, Rose with 44. Rose is the closest to DiMaggio, by the way. Think about that. He needed to get a hit in every game for another 2 weeks. And that's the closest anybody's come to DiMaggio. I'm just wondering, in this day and age, Mark, do you think people would respond to a hit streak?
I think they would, because you know where it would play out really well? Twitter. Social media. It's really easy to say, Moulton's up at the plate. 0 for 2 tonight. I just think that I think the social media aspect of it would make a hit streak relevant quickly.
Right, and if you have apps like ESPN, Bleacher Report, a lot of what they do is notifications. They'll tell you, hey, Freddie Freeman is up to bat right now, and it's the 9th inning. He has yet to get a hit. Can he keep the streak alive? And then immediately you tap the notification, and then boom, the game is on.
I do think it lends itself to your phone and to what Felipe said, your notifications for all your apps that you're following in the sports world. I think it would work. But he's got to go a little farther than where he's at now. I think this thing gets to, like you said, 30 in the 35 range. And I don't think it would necessarily be there for every player, but Freeman's a star, so that would actually obviously help it. Time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. I fully expect Felipe to give us Heat highlights all week. I was even going to tell him, you could say screw the play of the day and just go give me more Jimmy Butler. But let's see what he's got for us today.
Well, as you can see in my Marlins gear, I'm very happy that the Braves have lost 2 straight to the A's, and they lost to the A's again in dramatic fashion last night.
Riley juggles, bobbles, and throws home, and it's not in time. Dropped by Murphy. The A's win it 2-1. So the A's have won back-to-back games. Jonah Bride makes contact, and the party is on as the Athletics win it by the final at 2-1.
Can you play Celebration?
The party is on. I think all of us have been to a party with more people than they had at the game last night.
I was going to say,
I've had a party with more people than that.
The key to that play of the day is listening to the crowd noise. That was a home game.
Right.
By the way.
That sounded like the fake sound effects in the background of like MASH or whatever. Hit the bongo. Come on, give me the bat sound.
But the 12-45 A's winning back-to-back games for the second time this year, helping the Marlins in that NL East.
How about Felipe? Felipe actually thinking the Marlins are challenging the Braves in the end. That is so cute.
It's back.
That's adorable.
4 games.
That is so cute that you think the Marlins are actually contending with the Braves for the NL East title this year. That's adorable.
South Florida sports synergy. Come on, seedings don't matter. Just get a wild card.
That's why you shouldn't be worrying about the Braves.
Right.
That's
root against the Mets.
Worry about the Mets. I'd be more worried about the St. Louis Cardinals catching you right now than I would be worried about catching the Braves.
Right. The Phillies lost and the Giants lost yesterday. That's the way you need to be looking.
Miller and Moulton. The grade 8 still ahead with Pat Kirwan and Seth Everett. Thanks so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples.
BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Gator Boy, I think Jack McKeon's living in North Carolina. And he's like 93, I thought. I'll look that up. '92. Yeah, lives in Elon, North Carolina.
You know, the Pulse has a great little question here that, you know, that thing the Athletic sends out.
Uh-huh.
How many more natties does Saban win? If they put the over-under at 1.5, where would you go?
Under. So he's won 7, 6 at Alabama, right?
Yeah.
That's it. 4 in a row for the SEC, 5 out of 6, 13 out of 17.
$13 out of 17 with who are the other ones? Clemson twice.
Florida State and Ohio State.
Ohio State.
And that's the only time it's been back-to-back. That, 13-14, the SEC didn't win it. It's the only drought they've had during this run, Mark. SEC champion. Well, in DC, it's interesting. They get rid of divisions. This is the last year of divisions. So it's just going to be top 2 teams record-wise will play in the SEC championship game. First off, how about just an over-under how many more years you think he's going to coach? I'll give you 5.5 as the over-under.
Takes him to 77 if you go over. Right?
Well, let's see, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So to go over, he's got to coach through 28.
That would make him 77.
Mm-hmm.
What's a good number, David?
10 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
"22 minutes before the top of the hour. Pat Kirwan to join us then. Seth Everett to join us 1 hour from now. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Josh Pate to join us tomorrow. One of the best talking college football in the country from CBS Sports. By the way, we'll get Bud Elliott back next week. We'll see how these SEC meetings go in Destin and, what comes out of it. Reports yesterday, Mark, by CBS that Colorado in negotiations with the Big 12 to leave the Pac-12 and join the conference. I mean, CBS went a little further than, they're interested. I mean, they were saying they were negotiating. By the way, what's there to negotiate? You want to join the Big 12? Yes or no? Well, how much money are we getting? Well, it's right here, $31.7 million. Okay. When can we join? How about next year? I mean, shouldn't you be able to do this, during like lunch?
Colorado's AD, I have no comment other than what I said last week when he was mentioned about it. We are proud members of the Pac-12. In a perfect world, we'd love to be in the Pac-12, but we also have to do what is right for Colorado at the end of the day. There's the key line, but we also have to do what is right for Colorado at the end of the day.
Mark, do you want to translate that statement for me?
Unless the Pac-12 can come up with a media rights deal that pays us more than $30 million quickly, we're gone.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate your translation. And by the way, I'm not denying that we haven't been talking to the Big 12. Just been finalizing the offer so I could take it to the Pac-12. That's all. Felipe, get ready. You may have to do the last 2 hours of this show with me because, this is one of those topics in which I can get Mark to walk off the show when I bring up this topic. Okay, because I bring it up at least once a year, and he's tired of hearing it. But I'm sorry, Mark, I'm right. Major League Baseball is wrong, and they just won't admit it. If we split the season in half.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Mark, now hold on. Look at these races. Do you know the biggest deficits in the National League East when the Mets and Marlins are 4 back? Think about it, Major League Baseball, because everybody's played between 55 and like 57 games. So we got 25, or we got 4 weeks. Basically, we can play till the end of June. And that's the end of the first half of the season. Think about in the AL East. Rays 3 over Baltimore, 5 over the Yankees. Remember, you win the first half, you're in the playoffs. In the Central, Minnesota 2 over Detroit, 3.5 over Cleveland. Also, the White Sox, horrible start to this season, but they think that there's actually a good team there. They've just totally loused things up. They'd know in a month that they'd have a second bite at the apple instead of now when they're 11 games below 500.
Boy,
how about out west?
How about out west?
Well, but I'm just saying. I mean,
how about out west?
Texas 3 over Houston. Then in the National League,
the A's would have a whole second half to get things going with this 12-45 start. How about the A's?
See, Felipe, this is what I mean. Okay. He's going to walk out. Okay. He will walk out of the studio during the top of the hour break. It's just a matter of his admiration and friendship with Pat Kirwan, whether or not that brings him back or not. If we didn't have a guest at the top of the hour, Mark would just leave, get in his car, and go home. Honestly, he'd be done with me. All right. Braves 4 over the Mets and Marlins. This is the only way the Marlins, come on, best chance to make the playoffs right here. Can they keep it together for another 107 games? I know. I'm only asking them to keep it together for about 26 games. Come on. The Pirates are a game back.
The Pirates. And the Reds are only 3. Where are you going to go? To the playoffs if you win the first half.
Yeah. Come on. If you're a Pirates fan, do you have any hope that you're going to make the playoffs 4 months from now? You're like, no, come on. We're not going to be. No, we're not that good. Yeah, but you could steal the first half title. The same with the Reds. Come on. Does a Reds fan think that they're going to be there after 162? No. Could you steal the first half title? You're 3 back of the Brewers.
Well,
how about the Diamondbacks?
The Diamondbacks.
Game and a half back of the Dodgers. Anybody think the Diamondbacks are going to be there for the duration with the Dodgers? No. How about one more month, though?
I mean, I don't know what the Diamondback schedule is. I don't have it memorized, unfortunately, but think about it. They have one more series with the Dodgers. Bada bing, bada boom. They could be in first place.
And
that's a great idea. Why aren't we doing this?
Why aren't we doing this?
Because it's moronic.
It is not moronic. In fact, now that we have 6 teams that make the playoffs in each league, think about it. You split the 3 division seasons in half. First half champions in, second half champions in.
So in theory, a team that could have the best record for the whole season might not make the playoffs.
Might not. You're not going to believe
the proper half.
Well, but here's how they would make the playoffs. If one of the teams wins both halves, then you try to figure out how you award that final playoff spot in that league. Do you award it to the team with the second best record in that division? Do you award it with the team with the best overall record in the league for the season?
Or do you just have a home run derby and settle it that way?
That'd be fine. You know what? People would pay attention to that. Okay. Which crazy bat blank nuts Moulton idea is worse? Having the 8th and 9th inning, the manager can put the same guys up that he wants. Forget the batting order. I'm putting Trout and Ohtani and Rendon 2, 3, 4. They're leading off the 8th, and you know what? They're leading off the 9th. That, or we split the damn season in half. First half champion, second half champion.
The split season in half's more crazy.
No way. It's 81 games. It's 3 months. You have to do something for 3 months to make the playoffs.
And I'd only let you adjust the lineup in the 9th, but that's just me.
Okay. And by the way, if you're Major League Baseball, you schedule nothing but division games in June and September. So that when you're competing for the half championship, you're playing nothing but division games. When do you play your interleague games, by the way? July and August. You know, the summer.
Now, while I completely despise this idea, you are right. If it were the case, that's when you'd have to play the division games.
Yeah, you got to create the drama. You have to admit, though, and I know you hate this idea.
What about the Reds?
Stop it. Where are you going to go? Right? But you have to admit the standings of the 837 times in private and on the air that I have brought this up since the two of us have known one another. You have to admit the standings heading into June are probably the best to support this argument now than they've ever been. 6 division races, the biggest margin is 4. And teams that we don't think had a snowball's chance of sniffing the playoffs would be more than sniffing it right now. Marlins, Reds, Pirates. Listen, I was high on the Diamondbacks to win more than 74.5. I was not high on the Diamondbacks to make the playoffs. They're a game and a half back in the West.
My Tigers, 2 back. They get a couple games against the Twins. Hell, they're in the playoffs.
Hey, listen, you can mock this all you want, which
You know why I'm going to mock it? Because of the Central divisions. You're going to put a 5. I'd rather have a wild card that played a whole season with a substantial record to earn their way into the playoffs as opposed to a fluke first half and you get in.
Well, you didn't have a problem with the Tampa Bay Bucks making the playoffs and hosting a playoff game at 8-9 last year. Why do you have a problem with the Tigers, going 40-41 and winning the first half AL Central title? What's 3 months? Played 3 months of baseball. I mean, it's not, they didn't play a month. They played 3 months. They played every day for 3 months. That's a lot. I mean, they played a whole NBA and NHL regular season in 3 months. No?
David, now I like that you tried to stick to Tampa Bay Bucks, that I was okay with it. Like I set the rules in the NFL and, a team. Yeah, I have no problem with the team playing an entire season and we award division winners playoff berths. If by chance the Milwaukee Brewers end up at 80-82 and that's the best record in the Central, then they get in. They won their division for the entire year, but not half the year. And some team gets in at under 500 or 500 over what would end up being a wild card team. I mean, for instance, look at what the Orioles are doing right now. The Orioles are having a hell of a year.
Mm-hmm.
They lose to Tampa by 3 games. They're clear of the Central Division champ by a bunch. I mean, if you're going to do this, I'd rather just get rid of divisions, period.
Well, maybe we have to realign the divisions also. See, in a sport that does not have parity, in a sport that does not have financial competitive balance, I think this is a way to make the sport more interesting to more fans more often. I can sell the next month to 6 fan bases who right now are like, don't try to sell me on this season, okay? I mean, we're really not that good. We can't go the distance. This might be cute, a couple nice players, but come on, don't try to sell me on the Pirates. Really? They're a game out.
I actually think your sell's better than the Pirates. I would be taking the argument of the White Sox, of the Cardinals, of the teams that had bad first halves that think they have good teams. I think that's as good of an argument as the Pirates 1 game back in a bad division.
Okay.
I don't like the idea, but I think I would go at it that way.
Fair enough. Like the Padres, right. Maybe the Blue Jays even, what have you, come July 1st, we can just, wipe it clean and let's go. By the way, I'd move up the All-Star break. Also, I'd end the first half. I'd do the All-Star break.
Because you play half the season and then have an All-Star game? Imagine that.
I know. I'm crazy that way. I am. But that's what I do. Now, I will say it could get in the way of 4th of July, especially if you're going to keep moving the damn season up to start in March. I mean, in an ideal world, I'd have the final weekend or the final games of the first half of the season be right around July 4th. Meaningful baseball around the 4th of July. What a novel concept.
Knew it was coming.
Well, I'll take a look at the standings.
Could have predicted it. Wasn't thinking about it. Had Nick Saban on the brain, and he went split season on me. 21,000 is the text line. Your thoughts on David Moulton splitting the Major League Baseball season?
I mean, they play 82 games in basketball and hockey. I'm playing 2 81-game seasons. You're making it sound like it's they're not playing that many games. Actually, they are. Playing damn near every day for 3 months. How much more you want them to play? I don't know. It's funny. It works for me in baseball. I hate the whole dividing up the NASCAR races in thirds. Stage 1. Oh, for goodness sakes. Whatever. I hate that. Yet in baseball, I've wanted to split the season in half for 30 years.
Maybe we can split the middle. We'll just split the NASCAR season in half. No one will seem to mind.
Well, that's what Fox and NBC do.
21,000's the text line, 21000. Love to hear your thoughts on the split season, on the SEC, 8 games or 9 games. Gator fan, what do you want? Because your crossovers aren't as substantial as some other teams. You want to play the dogs.
Yeah, but that's all you're guaranteed, though. You're not guaranteed Tennessee. You're not guaranteed, the LSU game that you've gotten kind of used to. South Carolina, I mean, all you're guaranteed is playing Georgia and Florida State,
Florida State.
There you go.
Is that enough for you, Gator fan? Or do you want 3 permanent? And LSU'd be 1. I don't know who the third one would be.
Well, that's it. I don't know if LSU would be 1. Like, I haven't seen who the Gators' permanent 3 are. But I don't think Tennessee is one of them. If my memory serves me correctly, Tennessee was not one of the permanent 3. Which in and of itself is interesting. And the divisions are going away.
Making it that much harder to get to the SEC title game. And scheduling will be a factor with that. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan coming up in 8 or so minutes. Seth Everett at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. We thank you so much for listening right here to the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Good morning, fellas.
How you doing, Pat?
I'm doing great.
Are you in Florida or are you back up north?
I'm up north, but I am coming back down next week for those hockey games.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Yeah, I got shit doing up here. It never ends with stuff. So I'm up at the lake house just working on the house and the yard and all that stuff. The grandkids will start coming up very shortly, so I'm just prepping for that.
How'd the hockey go with your kids?
Good. Well, they were in where was I this last week? Nashville. The best teams really, I would call them all-star teams from all over this country and Slovakia and Canada. They did good. They beat the best team, the Toronto All-Stars, and they beat those guys 3-0. They end up losing Game 7 to Minnesota 3-1. Otherwise, they did very, very well. Just they're playing 2 games a day. Actually, they had a scrimmage Thursday night just because the kids really are coming from all over the country on this team. So they have one practice, and then they played 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and then 1 on Monday morning, and that's when they got bumped out. They had to go all the way to Monday afternoon at 2:00 to win the whole thing. So they got bumped out in the Final Four at whatever it was, 16 teams. Good. Who I sat with the whole time, you might remember this guy. He played for the St. Louis Blues for 7 years and 7 years for the Devils. His name was Bryce Salvon. Bryce, defenseman. 14 years in the NHL, but he's gonna end up being Brady's coach this year. He does the analytics for the Devils, and then he coaches the kids team, which is right down the street. So really interesting guy. 14 years in the NHL.
Bryce Salvador?
Yeah. Really nice fella, smart, very interesting. So his son turns out to be on Brady's team in Jersey, and he's going to coach him. And then, and he was a defenseman, which is even better. So it was fun. I sat with him for 4 days, just talking about the difference between football and hockey and research and advances in concussion stuff. It was, like a lot of guys, they know we had all the money in football. We did all the research and we had all the best stuff. And I said the Islanders we used to let them use our stuff because they were right next door, literally a couple 100 yards away.
He does Devils games on television,
Yeah. He's a really, really, he's well polished guy and he's a good guy. But he is their coach, which I think for a kid who's 14 is going to be great. I think he's the black. He's a biracial guy, but I think the black side is Nigerian. I think, and we talked about Nigerian mothers. I always said I'd draft any guy who had a Nigerian mother. They are hard on those kids. It's all about school. You just go look at the Nigerian kids coming out in these drafts.
10 seconds.
They're all pre-med majors, engineering majors, real degrees, and a life plan beyond football. It's pretty impressive.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of hour 3 of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. It is the final day of May. NBA finals get underway tomorrow night. Stanley Cup finals get underway Saturday night. Major League Baseball season at the 1/3 pole. And are we officially entering the offseason of the NFL? I think the answer is yes, but Pat Kirwan joins us weekly during that offseason. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chain, CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joining us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, a dozen locations in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Top of the morning to you, Pat. How are you?
I'm doing fine, fellas. Good to see you and hear you. And, it is quieting down, but that's okay. It's a chance to catch up on football things. I was laughing at some of the things I saw this week, like how could Garoppolo do a deal without taking a physical? Well, he did take a physical. Nobody's signing anywhere until they pass a physical. And as soon as he had the foot problem in their physical, what'd they do? They changed the deal and took all the guaranteed money out. So I just laugh when people think, well, yeah, they just signed him. And then they found out, no, you don't go back to a guy after he signs and goes, now, can we change your contract? So I think sometimes I need to do a better job of explaining to the listeners the reality of how these things work. So maybe there was a guy or two that signed someone without a physical, but he got fired usually probably the next day.
All right, but back to the Garoppolo thing. Just, is it dangerous on Vegas's part? Is it?
Yeah, dangerous in the sense of they may not have him. I think his foot will get fixed, but yeah, they took the danger out on the financial end of it with taking the guaranteed money out, which I kind of found amazing that they were able to do that. And really, we used to always do waivers on an injury if you recur the injury that you had. For him, it'd be the foot. Jimmy Miller said he did 4 different waivers for all of his hip and knee injuries, and I did plenty of them. But it was always specific to that injury, and it was always a split. So if you were to make $1 million, but you got a recurring injury on a deal that we did with you, then your salary went to $500,000 when you went on IR. But this one is a lot tougher than that. So yeah. Now Brady, and the whole thing about Brady playing there, they will never vote him into play. As much as we all think the league needs Brady, there's 3 teams in the AFC West that's not going to pass that deal.
Because he's an owner, that's something that the other teams would have to vote on, right?
Yeah, so they're going to get 1, obviously, from the Raiders, but they need all 32, and they're not going to get that.
Now, could they? I mean, listen, it's far-fetched. I mean, it does seem as if he's retired, okay? But if Garoppolo can't go and, whatever, he decides, yeah, okay, I'm like a fighter, I'll just keep playing. Can they take the ownership part and suspend it? Can they just, move it to the side?
I don't think they can, because he's still an owner. What do you, there's no such thing as I'm vacating my ownership. You'd have to sell it, and then you're not an owner. I don't know why, if he wanted to play, he didn't just put off the ownership thing until after the season. So I don't think he's going to be in a position to play. Now, I'd like to see him play. We all would. But do you think the Chargers or the Broncos want to see him play? No. I think we might see Matt Ryan if this all falls apart.
What about the Cardinals just flat releasing DeAndre Hopkins? Okay, and I was a little surprised with the holiday weekend where the release could not go through till 5:00 yesterday, where there was not a team out there willing to give up a 6th or 7th round pick. And also the Cardinals, who are going to get a $22+ million cap hit, maybe having a team say, listen, we'll take some of that off your hands. You can save a little bit of money and we give you a bag of donuts. Okay. And then we get DeAndre as opposed to having to compete on the open market for him.
You're right about all of that, except that he pulled the trigger on being nasty. And once he started attacking not just the club and the coach and the quarterback, but then he took a couple shots at the owner, and he forced emotion into the equation. And he got himself out of there.
Who's going to sign him in your estimation? I mean, the Chiefs and Bills are talking about it. Will he take? Is he the type of guy that'll take a little bit of a discount for one of those teams to try to chase the ring, or is there a third team that will overpay and end all of that?
Yeah, I think there might be a 4th team too, and I'll get to all of that in a second here. But to me, when he jumped up and signed an agent yesterday, he wasn't drumming up enough business, and the fake agent thing. So there's no more of that correspondence that went on before. So look, Odell got $18 million. We were all shocked. The 3 of us couldn't believe it. He didn't deserve that. They did that because they thought he was going to the Jets. So now there's the market. And who would you rather have, Odell or D-Hop? I'd rather have D-Hop for 100 reasons. Like, he doesn't miss 52 games in his career like the other guy, who didn't even play last year. So I think you're going to have to pay the guy $19 million. Wouldn't want to do it, but probably have to.
Can I throw a team out there where
I got one? I got one for you. And the
well,
hint is Mark Miller.
Wow, that's interesting. The team I was going to throw out there was Cleveland.
Oh, Cleveland's in it. They'll be in it, and he may want to go there. They got the cap space. They got the reason to do it. I'll ask the two of you. If he's on the Cleveland Browns, how serious are they as contenders in the division? Let's just start with getting out of your own division.
They're serious contenders. I mean, I think they, they've got a good running game. They can throw the football. Their defense is better. I worry about their offensive line, Pat. I don't know where you have their O-line ranked. I know you've started that stuff, but I think their O-line's regressed a little bit.
They have regressed a little bit, but almost everyone's got a flaw in some part of their program. People think that Kansas City and Buffalo don't have the cap space. They can make the cap space overnight, so they understand where that's going. The Cleveland thing with Watson and those guys and Kevin Stefanski and how they see themselves, with their line coach, they'll be fine. They'll figure it out, and I don't think it'll be a deterrent for him going there. It'll be money, but I'd also throw Detroit in this. And people are not talking about Detroit, but if you study Detroit, they've got the quarterback. They're really. You talk about where would he make the most impact. I think if he goes to Detroit, they're going to run away with the division. But I think there's interest there, and I think D-Hop is telling people where he won't go. But let's just keep our eye on Detroit in the next 24 hours.
Well, Detroit would be great also because they have a number one. So whether he came in as a number one, then they'd have a 1 and a 1A. Well, that makes the team very dangerous. But also it would relieve all the pressure on Jameson Williams, who's going to be suspended for 6 games.
Yeah.
And then, he's expected to come in and be a number 2 right away on a good team. But the other thing is that the Lions have concerns about him off the field. He's hanging with the wrong guys. And this way, Williams, who knows? He could be a bust. And if you have Hopkins, then you just let the Williams thing play out. And if he's a great number 3, terrific. And if he's a bust, then whatever.
Yeah. He's majoring in stupidity right now. So I don't know how far I trust him, that being Mr. Williams. So anyway, we'll just see if that percolates. I think they're thinking about it.
But is he thinking about it? I mean, because to me, if D-Hop signs with the Lions, that's big for the Lions. That's a star player. I don't care what age he is, signing for a team that really struggled to get top-level free agents. I think this would be a coup for the Detroit Lions. Don't you, Pat?
Yeah, but they're making significant progress, and they have a couple things that D-Hop is going to want. They got cap space and money, and they got a quarterback who can throw the ball, and they play inside. So do I think they're the lead team? Absolutely not. But unless you heard it somewhere else, just remember I brought up Detroit as a 4th option.
Well, and we've talked about it. It's easier to win in the NFC than it is the AFC. I mean, even for the Kansas City and Buffaloes and Cincinnati's of the world. Think about how good Cleveland you would view the Browns if all of a sudden their wide receivers were Amari Cooper and DeAndre Hopkins. With Nick Chubb, if they could fortify that run defense, which was awful the last 2 years, you look at Cleveland and you go, damn, it's a pretty good 3rd best team or 4th best team in a division, isn't it?
Yeah. And so if you're Cleveland and you know who Cincinnati is and you know who Baltimore is and Pittsburgh, you have, if you want to stay in this race and be part of that play all the way to January, I think you almost have to do it.
Well, Mark, we talk about it all the time. They've invested $230 million guaranteed in Deshaun Watson. If you're all in, be all in.
Yeah. Too many teams stop halfway through the process of building something, and then they go, well, this is all we got. They have the space to do it. Kansas City doesn't have a number 1 receiver. They got an old tight end who's very good, but I did their receiver group yesterday. It's very shaky. Very shaky. They lost 107 or 103 receptions and 7 touchdowns when they lost Juju and Hardeman. So they don't have one. And you want to sell me Kadarius Toney? Go ahead. 3 touchdowns in 21 college and 21 pro football games. He is not a number one yet, and you can make a statement, but he's not it. They need D-Hop.
Pat, David brought something up a couple hours ago that Jacksonville had all but 2 guys show up at mini camps. Just how important is that everybody's all in? When you look at a team like Jacksonville that's on the rise, everybody's showing up for voluntary mini camps. Is that significant?
It tells me 2 things. One, they love their coach and respect him, that they want to be there. And the ones that were there for the coach before this have great short-term memory of that, how ugly that was. And 2, is a young football team and a lot of guys looking for a second contract already. So they've got a lot of momentum emotionally. And mark my words, he'll cancel 2 or 3 days of practice because they all showed up. They'll go bowling or something.
He's Pat Kirwan. He co-hosts Moving the Chains on NFL Radio 3 to 7 weekdays. He's part of CBS's NFL Today show, and he joins us Wednesdays, usually at 8 o'clock, sometimes a little bit earlier, depending on his schedule.
Never later.
No, and he joins us courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and all points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh.
You guys call me and tell me I'd come on at 11, which of course you won't. I would sign a 10-year deal with you.
Pat would join us at the turn, seemingly, on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. But Pat, thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next week when you return to the Sunshine State.
I will see you guys. Very excited about what's going to happen next week. All right, you know what? I'm flying Wednesday morning. We'll have to figure out something different.
Okay, maybe we'll do it.
It's the Blades' fault, not your fault, not my fault.
Pat Kirwan joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Seth Everett in 25 minutes on the Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar
See you,
and Grill,
boys.
outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
the NCAA, and I think the answer is no, but basically it just kind of skimming through an article here that I'll read later that basically the SEC is joking that we're all laundering money. Like you can get priority points by donating to the A&M collective. How they're doing this is essentially illegal. Is the NCAA going to do anything about it?
No. I think they're hoping for Congress to somehow, some way legislate this.
And how are they going to out negotiate what the state laws are? Because the states are all trying to change their laws to make it.
Well, and let's be honest, the states will do it depending on how important college football is in the states.
Yes, exactly.
In half the country, they'll want to uphold the law. And in 1/3 to 1/2 of the country, they're like, make the law whatever it's got to be so we can pay players and win. But that is the other thing that's come out of SEC media days about like Napier was talking yesterday about how cutthroat the SEC is with recruiting and then also just about, the money, the war that's out there financially to get players.
Yeah, this is, it's the one that this is what I've been wondering. This is an interesting number they give, is that most Power 5 kids, it says the average compensation for a Power 5 football player from a collective ranges from around $10,000 to $50,000 annually, but about 5 players per roster are making more than $100,000 on average. Now, I get that some are making a lot more than that, but you basically got 5 guys that are making 6 figures, and the rest of them are all making a nice stipend.
Well, and Hops, if it is tax exempt, here's how I'd like to know how that's possible. Because one of the things Trump changed during his presidency was, the money that all the alums used to give to the university, that was all tax exempt. He made it so that money got taxed. So how can you giving money to a collective be tax exempt? But if you give money to build a building, it gets taxed. Because when Trump changed the tax thing that he put through early in his administration, colleges in the South were like, man, we voted for this guy. We're not happy about this. This is going to cost us money. Well, okay, we were talking about it for Bronny also. Where do you think Bronny can make more money, USC or his rookie deal in the NBA? I mean, there's a report out there that Bronny could make $5 to $8 million with the stuff he's already got from NIL at USC. But here's the other thing. Okay, we're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes after the hour. Seth Everett in a little more than 15 minutes time. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Josh Pate of CBS Sports will talk college football tomorrow, along with previewing game 1 of the NBA Finals. Heat and Nuggets. Denver a 9-point favorite for game 1 tomorrow night. It's the altitude, Mark. It's all about the altitude.
David, we were talking about your split season, then we got right into Pat Kirwan, and the text line had a few comments.
Okay.
Ford Edsel, New Coke, and David's baseball realignment. You have, and I'm not doing that. If there was support, I would read it. Split season is the definition of Bush League.
Why? It's 81 games. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, in other leagues, it sounds ridiculous. 81 games. I mean, isn't that enough to determine a playoff spot?
David, we have one on your side. Would make baseball less boring. Just saying. Also threw in a Tampa Bay Bucks question in the middle of that one.
Okay.
Just how god awful are they going to be? And
pretty bad.
And then someone who I can't even support this. They're all worried about tanking for the teams that win the first half would then rest too many players in the second half. They don't do load management in baseball.
Well, no. Number one, also from a roster manipulation standpoint, it's tough to do. You can only have, you got a 40-man roster, and it would be tough to do. The other thing that I would do in my split season idea is I would motivate you. Like if a team wins both halves, well, then to me, you're the number one seed. Now, unless someone else wins both halves in their division and they have a better record than you. But to me, to motivate teams to keep playing, what are you fighting for? You're fighting for seeding 1 through 6. So I would motivate them to keep playing. How? You could be the 1 seed. You could be the 2 seed. You get a first round bye.
So those are just some of the comments that we got there. One in support, a few negative.
I understand. The one thing I was being a little sarcastic, but not really. For as crazy as most of you think this split season baseball idea is, which idea do you like more? My crazy split season baseball idea, which, by the way, the minor leagues have been doing for 30 years. Every level of the minors, they have a split season. Now it's done for a reason. We don't need a month-long playoff. These guys have played 140 to 160 games, whatever. Just get the damn thing over with. But since they played all year, we might as well have some kind of playoff. I get it. But, I said to you, what's a crazier concept? Splitting the season in baseball or allowing below 500 teams to not only be division champs, but host playoff games in the NFL? For those of you worried about, we got bad divisions in the AL and NL Central. Well, I mean, hell, with the Redskins, or I don't know if that was their first year they were the Commanders or not. I mean, they won the East a couple years ago with 7 wins. They hosted a playoff game.
I think they might have been the football team.
Okay.
I think. I'm not sure.
They were.
Right. When it was WFT, and we thought they had the T and the F, and they needed to change it.
Correct.
Right.
Which name went harder, in my opinion, but that doesn't matter.
So, what's a stranger concept to you when you think about it? Splitting the baseball season in half, or the below 500 NFL team that's division champ and hosts a playoff game?
Would you take away hosting a game, by the way?
Listen, no, I wouldn't. Because apparently it's really important to the NFL, the whole division thing. And I got to admit, that crazy year 2-3 years ago in the NFC East, you had Giants and Cowboys fans that were interested to the final game. I mean, until the Eagles tanked the fourth quarter against WFT there, okay, that division was in play. Last year, I mean, think of when Carolina and Tampa Bay played last year, late in the regular season in Tampa. They were playing for the division title, basically. And Brady orchestrated that miracle comeback on Monday Night Football against the Saints. Saints win that game, they're probably going to win the South. And what comes with it? Not just making the playoffs, but, wow, you actually get to host the game?
And besides, we have to have one bad division winner host a game. It keeps the law of averages and road teams winning the occasional playoff game.
Right. I mean, it's the only way you can get the Cowboys to win a road playoff game is have them play an 8-9 team. And won a road playoff game in 30 years. Well, we'll put one of the 5 worst teams to make the playoffs in the last 30 years. Oh, okay. One other thing we were talking about, which was the permanent opponents. The most, and this is all a guess. There's nothing that's been official on paper that's been released to a member of the media. But we were wondering who everyone in the SEC would play. Just rattle off schools, Mark.
Well, give me the Gators, because I saw 2 different
Okay.
Theories on what the Gators were going to have.
Okay. The one I have in front of me is Georgia, South Carolina, Oklahoma.
And I also saw Georgia, Tennessee in Oklahoma. But those were the two that I saw as well, David.
Okay. For Georgia, it would be Auburn, Florida, Kentucky. So think about it. They wouldn't play South Carolina and they wouldn't play Tennessee every year. Tennessee, by the way, gets Alabama. Vandy, South Carolina. See, here's the other thing. And by the way, that means Tennessee does not play Kentucky. That's a border thing. That goes way back. Okay. They don't like each other. The game has meaning to Tennessee and Kentucky. Okay. It just does. You got to trust me on this one. They border Georgia. They don't play Georgia. I mean, so the teams they border to the north and the south, they wouldn't be playing.
Who does South Carolina get?
South Carolina gets Florida, Tennessee, Kentucky. Now, there's no doubt, Bama, especially if Tennessee's got their act together, yeah, it's challenging. Auburn, Tennessee, LSU. Obviously, they're going to play Auburn every year. You know, I mean, Nick's 15-1 against Tennessee. I'm sorry. I just don't have any compassion here. Got to be kidding me. It's 11-5 against Alabama or Auburn and LSU, too. 11-5 against both. 12-5 if you count the national championship game against LSU. Just saying. LSU, Ole Miss, A&M, Alabama. Oklahoma would get Texas, Missouri, Florida. I'm sorry, that's Oklahoma's. Texas would get Oklahoma, A&M, Arkansas.
That's really salty right there. Yeah, it really is. Because you got the whole Big 8 thing with Texas and Arkansas. There's history there.
Yep, and of course Oklahoma, right? A&M would get LSU, Texas, Mississippi State. So that's what's out there. It's being bantied about. Sankey's hoping for a vote this week. You know a vote's not going to take place unless he thinks he's got the votes. Because it'd be embarrassing to have the 9-game schedule get voted down.
And while Nick will speak NIL as much as he can to avoid questions on the 9-game schedule, which he will answer as well, those will be the two things that Saban will be talking about. NIL and how it's destroying college football and how he can only play 8 conference games now. When not too long ago, he was all 4-9.
But he'll do 8 as long as every game they play is against the Power 5. Ask SEC fans, which would they rather see? Their team play a good non-conference team or their team play an SEC team? Remember, the bubble, the 2020 season when the SEC played 10 games, all against the SEC. Their fans loved it. Seth Everett coming up on the other side, Miller and Moulton.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Howdy.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing great.
That is lovely.
It just is. Have a good Memorial Day weekend. Anything exciting?
I had a house to myself for 3 days. It was bliss.
Really?
Yeah. My oldest went to Taylor Swift and then went to the Hamptons with her camp friends.
Ah.
Never saw her till Monday. And then my little one, and I can text you the picture, competed in a big horse show up in Saugerties. And did very, very well. She won one of the classes that she was in.
Good for her.
Yeah, so they were in Saugerties, and I was dog sitting and iHeartMedia doing. I had a great weekend.
Are you mentally preparing for Ted Lasso finale?
Yeah, it usually comes out at like 9 or 10 on the East Coast, and it came out at midnight, and I wasn't staying up for it. But it's an hour and 15 minutes. My morning's going to be compromised.
Is this season or series?
Series.
How many seasons did they have of that show?
3.
3 phenomenal seasons.
Yeah, it's a brilliant show. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel ended last week, and that was like
I have not started the new season because the wife and I are into a show right now when it came out, so it's like want to finish the show.
It's not a spoiler, but what they're doing is they're going into the timeline, so they're flash forwarding. So they're going to the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and you're seeing what happens in her life.
Okay.
It's genius. What it is it's genius. Brilliant storytelling.
I love the show. So,
it's
been one of my favorites. One of my all-time favorites. The writing's terrific. The cast is spectacular.
I think it's on the level of like The Sopranos, Mad Men. Like it's both of them, Ted Lasso and Mrs. Maisel. They are brilliant shows.
There's a question in the chat room. Have you ever been to the World Equestrian Center in Ocala?
Well, my wife and kid were there back in March. That's when I went to Devil's Panthers and Devil's Lightning. That's where they went. They didn't compete there. They went to go see a friend there. But yeah, the World Equestrian Center. I've seen the pictures. It's beautiful.
And Joe asks, are you over Arsenal's collapse?
Well, there's two ways to look at it. It's a collapse, but you also went from, a mediocrity to challenging for the Premier League title. You had a massive improvement this year, falling short. So it's glass half full, glass half empty. For me,
very Giannis with that answer there. That's actually really.
Well, I mean, it stinks because you were in first place for so long, and when you were playing your best football, the Queen died, and your game with Manchester City got postponed, and it was replayed when you were struggling and Manchester City was on this massive streak. And if things were different, it could have ended differently. Or I thought it was. Am I over it? Yeah, I'm over it. It's my second year, and it was a super fun season. Super fun. I had a blast. Although they're playing Man United at MetLife Stadium in July, and I'm going to be in Maine visiting my kids. So, oh well. So close.
It's Parents' Weekend at summer camp that weekend?
You got it. Last one.
Now your oldest got to be getting past the camp stage, isn't she?
She's in her last year. That's the thing. And my little one doesn't want to go anymore, except she wants to go to her last year because I guess the last year is a big deal. She wants to be a part of it.
So she wants to be part of her big sister's last year.
Yeah, but her big sister couldn't give a crap, so I don't understand it.
Which, of course, so why do you have to go?
Thank you.
I mean, if you don't care and you're, can I just go to the football?
I've asked the question.
All right,
I've asked the question. It's been broached. That's okay. My bucket list.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Our final segment along the network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. The bonus hour at the top of the hour in the 239, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Seth Everett joining us once again at this day and time. Sports with Friends Hall of Justice. Follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett. That's Everett with 2 T's. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Fine show you have here.
You have the same tone. I threw out an idea, which I've thrown at Mark at least once a year, every year that we've known each other. And that's how he greeted me throwing out the split the Major League Baseball season in half idea. He's like, this is fantastic. Love being a part of Miller and Moulton. Really. I think the only reason
play, huh? Interleague play. The American League's going to play the National League.
No. It's not that. But I'm not kidding, Seth. And I did say this on the air. I think the only reason Mark stayed with the show today was 2 of our favorite guests were in this hour. Pat Kirwan at the top of the hour, and you now. Otherwise, I'm telling you, he's picking up his 2 coffees. He's walking out the door. He's gone.
Seth, I mean, the Pirates, they're a game back. They could win the Central and have the first championship. It could be all theirs.
It's so exciting.
Hate the both of you. I'm telling you. I only have 1 pen, but I'm stabbing somebody in the neck. I am. Oh, boy. Listen, speaking of baseball, this is up your alley. I know you don't do text stream anymore. Okay, but you may have to bring your guy back for do a Sports with Friends on it because, it happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Diamond Sports Group. They own the Bally's whatever out in San Diego. Yep. And yesterday they said, we're not going to give you any more money because you wouldn't give us our streaming rights. And we want your streaming rights. Otherwise, we can't make money on this. So we're done. And the way we figured it, Seth, that's $60 million. Because it was 20 years, 1.2 billion. You do the math, that's 60 million a year. Yep. So the Padres just lost 60 million yesterday, and MLB is, as of tonight, taking over the broadcast.
Yeah, a couple of things to that. If you listen to a previous episode of Sports with Friends, Kurt Badenhausen from Sportico explained in grand detail, very eloquently, I might add, how part of the bankruptcy settlement is that Diamond, who owns the Bally Sports Networks, had to choose which markets they wanted to continue the payments for. And so rather than just drop them all together, which is what Warner Brothers wants to do with its AT&T sports nets at the end of the year, that's Houston, Colorado, and Pittsburgh, they want to do pick and choose. And a lot of people thought it was going to be Phoenix and Cincinnati and Cleveland. There were all kinds of speculation and rumor. The Padres are the first domino to really fall. And immediately the media, and I don't blame the media because this is important, the media rushes to how are San Diego fans going to see the games? And there's 76 different options. It's on every local cable service in San Diego through Major League Baseball. It's also going to be on Fubo TV. If you have Fubo, you're going to get the game. And if you pay, I think it's $19, you can just get the Padres through MLB.TV, or you could just get MLB.TV and the Padres will no longer be blacked out. All good things. Those are all good things and important things for the ultimate goal from the fan, which is get those stupid blackout rules lifted. Now, having said that, you made the point, which is what I wanted to have the podcast on and wanted to talk about. How are the Padres functioning with minus, let's say they made the first payment, so it's probably $48 million. $48 million minus are subtracted from the gross revenues for the San Diego Padres. Is baseball going to offset that? And if I know the answer is no, but someone has to figure out how you're going to have some semblance of competitive balance when suddenly huge chunks of revenue are being taken out of a ball club.
Well, and Seth, you and David, I can tell by the reactions, by David's reaction and the way in your tone, you don't think Major League Baseball will bail these teams out. Why wouldn't they bail these teams out financially?
Well, because then you have to say, well, wait a second. Are we bailing out the Padres? I mean, this is going to get political, but are we bailing out the Padres, but we don't have to bail out the Mets and the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Nationals and the Orioles? I mean, why are owners having to bail out the other guys? That gets into revenue sharing and the whole issue, which is it's owner versus owner. It is not owner versus player. It never has been.
Mark, there's two reasons why I don't think the Padres will get their 48 to 60 million back from Major League Baseball. One is that the other owners are going to be like, no, sorry. I mean, yeah, tough break, but I don't know what to tell you. And most of us, or at least the rich teams, we already contribute to revenue sharing. Right. So I'm already helping to offset the Rays and the Marlins and the A's and the Diamondbacks. No, now I got to do the Padres too? No, right. I don't think so. So
the A's, right? The A's, who are literally the personification of the movie Major League.
And in real life, yeah. That's a nail. You hit the nail on the head with that one. It is an absolute joke what's going on there. They don't care about this season at all, and have made no effort.
They care. They want a tank. They want a tank. It's literally they are trying to lose every game. Not the players. The players are trying to win, but they are trying to put that team in the worst possible situation to alienate all their fans. It's a gross situation, what's going on in the Bay Area.
And by Monday, they'll probably get the financing approved in Nevada for that stadium. They have to vote by Monday, June 5th. So up or down, it's going to happen within the next few days in Nevada. The thought is it'll be controversial, but all the powerful entities are in support of it. So they think they will get the votes. It won't be unanimous by any stretch, but they think they will get the votes.
But you saw the NHL, not to deviate too far from the topic, but you saw the NHL the vote in Tempe, that when they voted the stadium, the arena down.
Well, but that's
and the people that came out with signs, the protest. Yeah, this is a victory, victory for Tempe.
But
they
remember,
were thrilled.
But it's not a ballot initiative, okay?
Correct.
It is. I'm talking about the politicians are voting, okay? The thought is that it will pass. It's kind of like this debt ceiling thing in Washington. It's a mess. No one says they're for it, and yet actually it will find a way to miraculously pass. The Reds, so Cincinnati, Dallas-Fort Worth / Arlington, the Rangers, the Diamondbacks, and in Cleveland, the Guardians. They already have been denied payments, and this company, Diamond Sports Group, has been given a deadline, just like they were given with the Padres. And it seems as if they are saying to those four teams as well, well, if you give us your streaming rights, we'll continue to cash the checks. Otherwise, you know.
And MLB is saying no to that. Ironically, it's the big market versus the small market, which has been the theme of baseball for 30 years. LA, or the Angels, Bally's Anaheim, or whatever they call that in LA, at Atlanta, they've made all their payments because so Bally Sports Network is going to continue to have the Braves and the Angels, but they're getting rid of the Reds and the Diamondbacks. Like, think about what we're talking about here. We are taking teams and saying you are less than. I hate
What does this do for franchise valuation, Seth? I mean, this has got to be killing what the value of some franchises are.
That's what I asked Kurt on the podcast, and I said that's the one thing to me that sports owners have is the valuations of their franchises, and this gets worse. What the difference is in the NBA, the national TV deal is coming up, and in the national TV deal, they want to absorb the RSN contracts into the new national TV deal and makes kind of like what Apple Plus has with the MLS, a similar kind of substantive thing for the NBA. Baseball doesn't have any of that, because as much as MLB wants to say, well, we're going to take over the ownership of all these teams, the YES Network is saying, screw you. We're not doing this. We're not touching this. We're keeping our model for another 20 years because there's 12 million people in New York and they all pay cable money.
For right now, this company, which runs obviously the Bally's in the Tampa region,
right, Sinclair,
and in South Florida.
Just so we know, it's Sinclair.
Right.
It's their puppet company. Dynamite.
Right. There is no talk as of now that there has been any deniement of payments involving the Rays and or the Marlins. But
Correct.
Also remember, these networks in the fall are going to be running hockey/basketball. So, Sinclair, Diamond Sports Group, whatever you want to call them.
We call them Diamond, yeah.
They may make their payments for Rays/Marlins, but by the time they get to October, Heat, Lightning, Panthers, etc., that could be a totally different ballgame.
The difference is the cable money for an NHL team is less than 10%. So it doesn't impact the NHL team like it does the baseball team. If you take $50 million away from the Marlins revenues, it's 50 to 60% of their gross revenues.
Yeah, but you have to stay in business for another 6 months, though. See, that's the other thing. And you're in bankruptcy right now.
The network.
Yeah, right. If you're running the network, yes, it costs me $30 to air the Panthers games. The problem is I'm losing money every day.
You have to get all your Pantherographies.
Right.
And
so why would I stay in business for the next 6 months to get to the baseball
100%.
season when I'm in bankruptcy and I'm losing money every day?
100%. The whole thing is a mess. But
does it affect in order? So it would affect baseball the worst, obviously, then the NBA, then the NHL, as far as from
the caveat is this TV deal for the NBA. The NBA wants to re-up with ABC, ESPN, Disney, and Warner Brothers, with TNT. But streaming is a big deal, and whether or not this new Max app becomes a big player in that whole thing, or does Disney make this whole part of Hulu, Disney Plus kind of thing with ESPN. There's so much with the NBA going on. I just kind of push it all to the side. I think NBA is not going to look the same as it does now, because the NBA brand has never been higher, and yet their linear ratings are not growing.
Seth, we've got a minute to a minute and a half before we wrap it up. What did your expert on this think was the baseball solution? Because we've got 6 or 8 major markets who own their regional channels and they're making a fortune. So they're never going to go out of business. So even if the other 22 teams end up getting absorbed by Major League Baseball and having some MLB plus, you got the Red Sox, the Yankees, and a few others are going to be like, we ain't going to be a part of that.
Right. Yeah. No, that's where we left it, and that's why I have to have him on again. The whole thing is fluid. Where's that going? I don't know. He didn't know. Not at this point. No one knows. If we only have a minute, this Saturday, the Hall of Justice podcast is participating in a charity walk for Eric LeGrand at Rutgers University. It benefits the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. There's a link to my social media. I'm going to retweet it as soon as we get off this segment here. I encourage anybody who wants to support either me, the podcast, but really them, the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, or Eric LeGrand. It's this Saturday, June 3rd at Rutgers.
In sports, Hall of Justice, what do you have on the podcast, Seth?
Damon Bruce, formerly of 95.7 The Game, created a YouTube extravaganza. It's got 100,000 subscribers, doing real well. Hall of Justice is a lot about this race, and plus this guy who wrote the Encyclopedia of Superheroes. It's really neat for anybody who's kind of like, there's so much stuff out there. It's not like, where did Superman get his powers? It's what did they do in the 30s? What did they do in the 40s? When did Marvel come in? And what was on TV in the 70s? And kind of a chronology of, how we got to from there to where we got to today.
That whole making a large amount of money by taking your show to YouTube, we may have to look into that.
He's doing remarkable.
I know.
Check out that podcast. He explains the whole thing. I didn't even ask him a question. I just said, "Hey, how are you?" I think I left the room for like 11 minutes. He explained the whole thing.
Mark, it's kind of like when we interview Seth sometimes.
Occasionally. He has to be on a little bit of a roll.
Yeah.
To go full Brando on us.
Yeah. No,
Seth
I
Everett.
can go toe to toe with Damon Bruce. That's a lot of fun. He's a good guy.
Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice. Follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett. Seth, good luck on Saturday. Thanks for your time.
Thanks. It's 2.6 miles. I can handle it.
So he says, sitting in the chair.
Just stay walking. No jogging, Seth.
No
Whatever
jogging.
you do, don't
Stay
start
walking.
running.
I'm bringing my kid too. Making her do it with me.
They're in a little better shape. I think they'll be fine. Miller and Moulton along the network. Well, that wraps up our day. For those of you in the 239, you know the drill. The bonus hour's next.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Me too, Mongo. Me too.
You want to bring up that NIL thing? Or do you want to save that till?
Let's save that.
All right.
Because Hops, I do too. I just think the likelihood of it is slim and none. Unless some things really change soon. Speaking of which, if Les Jim's changed his number, I've reached out twice with nothing on a response. So what they have the individuals for the NCAA golf first and then take the team stuff. Is that how it works? Because the individuals, like the top guy gets a status, 2 through 5 get some Korn Ferry status, 6 through 10 get limited Korn Ferry status.
And then I think by how the individuals perform, that gets the teams in the final 8, I think it is.
Gotcha. I don't know where our producer is, and it's 9 o'clock. He left the room.
Probably went to the bathroom.
Nothing like cutting it close there.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The bonus hour, Miller and Moulton on this hump day, the final such day of May. I don't know. It feels like the year is moving along pretty darn well. Thank you. NBA Finals get underway tomorrow night in Denver. That's never happened before. Nuggets 9-point favorites against the Heat. Dominant favorites, at least 4-1 odds you'd get on the Heat to win the NBA championship. It was 125-1, by the way, when they were playing the play-in games. 125-1. But 8:30 tomorrow night, ABC. Mike Breen, Van Gundy, Jackson, and the gang with the call. Stanley Cup Finals get underway Saturday night, 8 o'clock TNT. Kenny Albert, Eddie Olczyk, and the gang with the call. By the way, what do you think of hockey people who, it's funny. Hey, you got a bunch of Canadians in the sport. Got a bunch of people who cover the sport. They're nice guys. They don't criticize a whole lot. Yet, national hockey media has never been fond of really the national networks that have covered hockey. And I don't know about you, Mark, but during these Stanley Cup playoffs, I've seen Turner getting a lot of good ink from national hockey people who didn't give that same good ink, A, so far to ESPN, and B, never gave it to NBC outside of the play-by-play guy.
No, I mean, look, Turner figured it out with Inside the NBA in their pregame coverage of basketball, that they do a better job than anybody else does with a network show. So they had the formula. Could they replicate the formula on the hockey side? And it looks as if slowly but surely they've done that. That they allow these guys to be themselves.
And it's interesting that their main host in the studio was the main host for NBC for much of the last 10 years. And he could not have been more of a librarian for the last 10 years. And now he's like leading the frat party. It's like, wait, are you the same guy? What were you doing the last 10 years? Which leads one to believe that was kind of came from the top. They wanted to be very boring,
very straight down the middle.
And Turner's like, listen, try not to curse. I would really appreciate it. Okay. And if you're going to use the Lord's name in vain, at least wait till double overtime. Okay. Then, whatever, knock yourselves out. So ESPN tomorrow night hoops, Turner Saturday night hockey. There you have it. Heat and Panthers, first kind of from the same area, if you will, since the Devils and the Nets 20 years ago, host in the finals.
Well, I can say this, at least this will do better ratings than the Devils and the Nets did back then.
Especially since, let's see, the Nets played San Antonio.
Right.
Ooh-wee, what a humdinger that was.
And the Devils played Anaheim?
Yeah, they played the Mighty Ducks. They did, yeah. I will say there's a chance for what happened in that final to happen again here. Like that series went 7. The Devils won. They gave the Conn Smythe to the Ducks goalie, John Sebastian Jaguar. This series goes 7. If Vegas wins in 7, I think there's a chance Bobrovsky wins Conn Smythe. I could see that. They've done that before. They'll do it for a goalie, Mark. They I don't know. Reggie Leach, I think, in 76, because he scored like 20-something goals or in the playoffs.
He had like a Cy Young year.
Yeah.
Like 20-6.
I mean, he won the Conn Smythe, even though the Canadians swept the Flyers. But otherwise, they'll give it to a goalie a few times. They've done that. But right now, though, the leaders in the clubhouse are 2 Panthers, Bob and Kachuk. And I guess Jack Eichel's making a run for it on the outside to try to win it for Vegas. But anyway, we just thought we'd talk hockey for a minute or two since it's been, a week since the Panthers have played.
Well, and we're in the bonus hour, which we can talk about a few local things that we don't do during network time. The month of May, we're talking about these great sports months. Locally, the month of May, pretty damn good again. As the Everblades going all the way back to the Kelly Cup Finals, and FSW just got done 3-peating in softball.
3-peating. Last 4 years, they've made it to the College World Series. I don't know. The program's either 4 or 5 years old. I think it's 5. Last 4 years, they finished 3rd, 1st.
You wouldn't want that guy to coach anywhere else, would you? He's never won anywhere. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's won everywhere he's ever been. Everywhere. At every level. It's staggering how good Aya Murray's been as a coach. Staggering.
And I know I've told the story before, but he turned the job down for about 8 seconds. And when the guy who offered the job said why, it turns out Aya Murray misunderstood the offer. There was an extra 0 on the offer. He had the comma in the wrong spot. So when the guy who offered him the job went, "No, Rob, it's blank," he went, "Oh, well then hell, I'll take the job." That's worked out pretty well.
Folks across the street should be looking. Don't know what to say. FGCU softball's not making the tournament.
Had a good team this year, too.
Okay.
Loaded conference, but had a good team this year. So, yeah, well, both the base. I mean, no baseball program has won more ASUN games in the last 10, 12 years than FGCU, and it's not even close. And yet, how many times have they won the last game of the conference season? Once. Just lost in the final Missed out on an at-large by about 6-7 spots in the NCAA tournament.
And I know Liberty's leaving, so life should get easier.
And Kennesaw leaves in a year. So, life could get easier in the ASUN.
But new president at FGCU, we'll see what direction that takes athletics in for the remainder of this decade.
But the Blades in double overtime last night, John McCarron, who won in game 2 in double overtime at home, won game 6 in double overtime on the road. It'll be the Blades and Boise. A rematch of what, 04? Is it 03 or 04? I think it was 04, wasn't it?
I believe you're right.
Because your last year was 05.
So it would have been 04.
Right. So.
Boise's a great city.
You loved it.
Loved Boise.
I had been in the late 90s, okay, because, Fargo, made the drive. It's like, I don't know, 600 miles, something like we were there covering something. But I liked it. I was impressed how much you liked it.
One of the cleanest towns I've ever been in my life.
So 2-3-2 format for the Blades, by the way. Saturday, Sunday. Make sure you pay attention to the times for those of you that actually want to watch the games and follow them online, because they're in the Mountain Time Zone there. So, you got to deal with a little bit. It's kind of like when they were in Newfoundland. Games started at a little different time.
Yeah, what did that start at 5:30 yesterday or something like that?
Yep.
I happened to be at home. I was flipping through Twitter, and I'm like, 2-2? 2-2? This game's nearly over.
But it'll be a normal week for the Blades, though. They play a lot of homestands that are Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and sure enough, next week, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, they'll have games 3, 4, and 5 if necessary at home in Hertz. Normal times too, 7:30, 7:37. So it's just another homestand for the Blades. It just happens to be the final homestand of the year.
So good for them to get back. Impressive.
Absolutely. It is very impressive. Especially since this was not, in some ways, Mark, doesn't it remind you? I mean, we're dating ourselves here in Southwest Florida sports history, but we were both around in 04. I mean, didn't that team sneak in? Wasn't that team like a bottom of the standings team, third, fourth place team? I thought
it was a second, third. But yeah, it wasn't a division winner. It had to go on the road more than it had to play at home, and just started rolling at the right time.
And the Blades this year, I think, finished 4th in their division. And usually the Blades live in the top 2 of the division, if not the conference. So went about it a little differently this year. And yet here they are. And Newfoundland doesn't want to play them again. That's back-to-back years they've beaten Newfoundland in the conference final.
I'm happy for the Blades. I just thought the idea of hockey having Idaho play Newfoundland in the ECHL finals was rich, to say the very least, but good for the Blades. I did not, like I said, the people that I talked to that I trust that had been watching it thought Newfoundland was a better team. And I know there was overtime games, and I get all of that. But when they had to go up for 4 games, people like, this is done. This is over. And give Ralph and company a lot of credit for having to go on the road and getting this done.
Well, and not only that, the Blades lost, I think, in overtime game 4. So the series was 2-2, and then the Blades knew they were playing the rest of the series on the road. And they took care of business, 5-2 and then 3-2 in double OT. So hats off to them. What year was it? Was it 04 before it ended up being Boise and the Blades? Wasn't there a possibility you guys were going to Alaska that year? Was that year or the next year? There was a possibility. One of the first 2 times they went to the finals, there was a possibility. I think it was the next year.
I believe you're right.
Because it was either Alaska or Trenton. And it went to game 7 in Alaska in the conference finals, and Trenton won. And I remember the Blades being thrilled just for the travel costs. It's like, we can fly to Philly or Jersey and handle this. wait a minute, we got to do a series. And I remembered you going, yeah, but you'll make ESPN. We get an Alaska, Florida series, they'll actually do something on it. They'll put the map, they'll draw the line, 4,100 miles or whatever the hell it would be.
I just remember it took forever and a day to get to Boise by plane. That's all I remember about that series, flying out there for that to do play-by-play, is just the nightmare that it was getting there. Once we were there, it's fine, obviously, but that might have been a double connection type flight.
I know we're pressed for time, but I had just quit local television. I had ended my local TV career. And Waterman Broadcasting brought me back in the infancy, really, of streaming in the internet to do like a live Blades blog during your games that you were broadcasting live from Boise. Seems like forever ago.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
And Buried in Bourbon, those are pre-Arnie Hartlieb days we're talking about. Arnie Hartlieb wasn't even thought of as a Blade at that time. That's how long ago that is.
I remember the next year, it's Memorial Day weekend, and the finals are in Trenton. And the Blades had lost the first two at home. And they go to Trenton for the middle three. And Mark, you had just started with the radio station and we had sold it. And so I offered to go on the road because I could spend Memorial Day weekend to see my mom and some friends, and did live shows before every game. And we sold the hell out of it and all that. And so we did the live radio show till about a half hour before they dropped the puck. And then we were just picking up the simulcast. You know, you guys, the radio TV simulcast. Kevin, right? Isn't that who we put? So all of a sudden, 15, 20 minutes into that, I've broken the equipment down. I got a beer, some nachos. My mom's there. My buddy Bob and his wife Jane are there. A couple other friends. We're hanging out. We're going to have a good time. And Kevin Ryder calls in a panic and says, the simulcast isn't working. Can you do the game? Got to grab the equipment. Got to find a place to broadcast from. Jonathan Namath and I got on like 5-7 minutes into the first period. Ended up having to do the middle 3 games in Trenton because they couldn't figure out why the simulcast didn't work.
Plug it in.
I don't literally. You would know because you did them the year before.
Audio feed. Give me a feed.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't know why the TV broadcast would not go over the radio. I have to laugh though because Shane Knighty does a lot of national Canadian broadcasts now, and he was on that 05 Blades team, the strike year, where a lot of talent that Scott Gomez was playing on that Alaska Aces team that year.
Right.
And the Blades win game 3 in overtime, and they dominate game 4, and they're up 2-0 early third period of game 5. They're like 18 minutes away from they're going to go home, play for the cup, and they're going to win. Man, come on. They're going to win all 3 games on the road. They're going to come home. They're going to win. And they're on a power play. And right as the penalty's ending, the puck goes back to Knighty at the point, and the puck jumps over his stick. And it slides to center ice, and the guy gets out of the penalty box and takes it, goes in, breakaway, score. Blades gave up 5. And when Shane Knighty got his name on the cup a few years later, I remember thinking about because the Blades hadn't won the Kelly Cup yet, and I'm like, so he gets his name on Lord Stanley's Cup, but the Kelly Cup was right there for the taking. AJ McCarron's the quarterback for St. Louis of the XFL.
I'm sure that's what he's saying.
All right.
Just 15.
I thought he's talking about John McCarron.
I know.
Here we go.
It's the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when, along with final thoughts, coming up in roughly 20 minutes' time. I know we'll talk about this in about 25 or so minutes' time, but you got to bet some baseball today. I mean, the Braves have lost 2 games in Oakland. When the series started, the A's were 10-45.
How many people lost money on last night's A's game?
Oh, I mean, if you're betting baseball, come on, you got to be betting the Braves last night. Like, you're thinking, there's no way they lose 2 in a row to the A's.
No doubt.
Well, now, don't you have to go, well, there's no way they're losing 3 in a row.
Oh, boy.
I know.
You backing up the truck on the Braves?
I'm not backing. First off, okay, even with the Heat, okay, covering in Game 6 and Game 7, I mean, I'm up to about $17 in the account.
As a matter of fact, David, when I go to the app to check the account, it starts beeping now. I don't know why that is, but the thing starts beeping at me. So there's obviously a problem there.
Listen, a hell of a matchup on this north side today. And it is today. It's 2:20 first pitch. It's Zach Eflin, who's 7-1, against Justin Steele, who's 6-2, and actually has a better ERA. Rays have lost 4 in a row on the road. Just saying. Well, come on. They're going to get swept in Chicago? You got to think not, right? So I'm just saying. I think you got to, I got about 17 shekels left. I think I got to, grab most of them today on the Braves and the Rays. That's all.
I'm with you, though. The Rays will getaway day, usually low scoring. The bats haven't been popping the last 2 days, so it'll be interesting to see what happens for the afternoon game at Wrigley.
Let's see. You got to check the over under 8.5. Yeah, but at Wrigley, you got to check the wind. If the wind's blowing in, hell, I may just bet the over under. That is a sign, by the way. When you're just betting the over under of a baseball game, that's when you got something going on, and it's not healthy.
So I watched Air last night with my wife, and they let you know that Sonny Vaccaro was a degenerate gambler with just one scene in the whole movie.
Okay.
He's, and not to ruin it, he's a high school scout, so he's going to all these high school tournaments and trying to, get in with players. That's his job. But he would have the layover in Vegas for every flight back to Oregon. And they just have him going up to the window betting all over-unders on Lakers games. Over on Worthy, over on Magic points. What's Rambus? I don't even care what Rambus said. Give me the under on Rambus, which was, I thought, one of the great lines of the movie. But it does make a lot more sense. I mean, it is something you put in a movie now that I think if that was in a movie 10 years ago, half the audience would be wondering what the hell he's talking about. Whereas now we're so used to gambling over-under numbers. In fact, I mean, come on, we haven't had a game on, well, the NBA Finals are going to be on ESPN, but the first break of all the TNT games comes back for the FanDuel app of Kenny and Chuck, and Kenny asking Chuck who he's betting on.
And Chuck just being wrong every time.
Which is why I think Chuck was so grouchy in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think Chuck was on the wrong side every time. Early in the series, he was betting the Celtics. Then by the end, he would bet the Heat. And then for Game 7, he and everyone else bet the Celtics. So I think Chuck had a rough series.
He'll be just fine.
We'll say he's been all over Denver, though, going back to like February. I mean, Charles Barkley has been high on the Nuggets since pretty much the All-Star break. So how long's Denver had off again? When did they sweep the Lakers? I mean, it was like a week ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Denver, I think, is having like 7 to 8 days. The Panthers are having like 9 to 10 days off before the biggest series of their lives.
It's tied for the second most amount of days of rest for a team heading into the finals. I believe it's 8 days.
How did the first team do? Like, do you know? Like, what team had the most rest besides the Nuggets heading into the finals?
Boy, Felipe just came up with a stat there for us, but had no ammo behind the stat.
Because I'm curious.
He's looking it up.
Okay. Because, we mentioned like the Rockies in 2007 got on a roll in September. They won 20 of 21, and it continued in the playoffs. They steamrolled through 2 playoff series. The problem was the Red Sox and the Indians, and they were the Indians then, went 7 in the LCS. And so the Rockies sat around for over a week. And when the World Series started, now granted, Boston, a really good team, but when the World Series started, the Rockies did not look like the team that had played the last 7 weeks. So, and that's my fear for Bob, the goalie. I mean, can you really pick up when you left off when you haven't played in 9-10 days?
And there's nothing they can do in practice in hockey to simulate that. You just can't. You can't play that hard in practice. They're not having scrimmages.
No. And he apparently's a hard practice guy, Mark. Sorry. He apparently is like, they've had to tell him, even after some of these playoff games, an hour after the game, he's on the bike, and they're like, listen, you got to go home. Okay. Don't worry. You're fine.
But you can't
No.
simulate traffic in front of the net, if you know what I mean.
You're
what's going on there. Yeah, you can do 3-on-2, 2-on-1 drills all day long. You can keep a goalie game sharp, but you cannot simulate any type of game play. It's just too hard.
So by game 1 of Heat Nuggets, the Nuggets will have rested 10 days. It's just the 4th time in the past 2 decades that a team has gotten that long of a break before the finals. The other 3 times that it happened, the 2013 Spurs, which they would go on to lose that series in 7, and the Heat played a 7-game conference finals and ended up winning just like this year. The Golden State Warriors in 2017 and the Golden State Warriors in 2019. Warriors won in 2017. They lost in 2019. Obviously, Kevin Durant tore his Achilles in that series.
Yeah, but they were losing. But they were losing in the series before Durant and Klay Thompson got hurt. They were. I mean, it's not like they were winning the series. This isn't the 2016 series against the Cavs in which everybody blames a 1-game Draymond Green suspension, and that's the reason the Warriors lost 3 in a row.
Well, Kevin Durant only played 8 minutes in that whole series because he comes back in that game 4 where they're down 2-1. He gets injured.
Right.
So 1 and 2 for the team with the long layoff.
Correct.
I would love to know it in hockey too, because of the goaltending factor, like you talked about, Mark. I mean, the best player in the playoffs so far is the Panthers goalie. I mean, of all the guys, it's important that he picks up as close as possible to where he left off. It really is.
The other side of this is the Vegas goalie. They're down to what?
Fifth string goalie. If you go organizational depth chart, I heard Bruce Boudreau talking about this the other day, Mark. He said, listen, in an organization, that's the starting goalie in the ECHL. When the season started, that's where he is on the organizational depth chart.
And will the lights be too bright for him? He's been great.
He really has. He's been good. He hasn't had the workload Bobrovsky's had and had to make the quality of saves that Bobrovsky's had. But, you've watched Vegas. He's been fine, right?
Absolutely.
He plays the way he has so far. You don't think, put it this way, you don't think he's going to cost them the cup, do you?
I don't think he's going to win them the cup, but I don't think he will cost them the cup.
But we've had teams recently, you worried, even the Blackhawks dynasty, there were times where you wondered if their goalie was good enough. Goodness knows every time the Flyers have gotten to the finals in the last 30 years, you wonder if their goaltending can hold up. And it usually hasn't.
But will it get exposed in this final against Florida? It's the one question you've got to ask about Vegas, because the goaltending depth has been completely exposed in these playoffs, but they've been able to get it done. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day win. And what's on tap's how we finish things out on Miller and Moulton.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I've seen a lot of long layoffs in hockey when I was just trying to look, but I don't have ones for the cup, if you know what I mean. They're in earlier rounds of the playoffs.
I remember growing up, the Rangers, who were not a good team that year in '86, got on a playoff roll, beat the heavily favored Flyers and Capitals getting out of the division. And they had like almost a week layoff before they faced Montreal, who went overtime in Game 7 with Hartford. And Montreal just showed up and just kept playing. And the Rangers, by the time they got their legs back, the series is over. Well, Arch, it is a topic of conversation in the NHL, though. Do you have to pay? Should you pay a goalie? Like Colorado won the Cup last year, got rid of their goalie, brought in a guy who had been one of the best backup goalies in the league with the Rangers, brought him in, paid him like $3.5 million a year. And he wasn't the reason they lost to Seattle. There are some people in hockey who believe you can't pay a goalie big money.
My guess is that's where the AHL team assigned him, Logic Man. He played in the A with Toronto. I don't know if they work with Newfoundland or not. My guess is they do.
Yeah, because the Marlies are their AHL team, right? And Newfoundland's their ECHL team.
If that's the setup, that's where that Zach Solo played, was for the Marlies this year. So that would be my guess.
I think he returns to form. Here's the problem, RCB. It's going to be very difficult to pull off trades in the NHL. Nobody has any cap room. It's been a flat cap basically for 4 years. Nobody has any money. Also, RCB, you don't trade a top 5 goalie in the league.
Felipe, are you aware of any songs by Waka Flocka Flame?
Yes, sir.
It's his birthday today.
Oh, wow. How old is he?
37.
God. Damn.
I don't know what sound you're referring to, Joe.
Oh, I had a yawn.
Oh.
I let it out.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing that was the
That
sound.
could have been it.
Girl, Chop it to the floor. I love the way your booty roll.
Okay, there's no ever need for you to sing.
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
$22 till the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You miss any part of the show, go to floridasportsnetwork.com and download what you missed. Pat Kirwan, Seth Everett joined us on the show today in the 8 o'clock hour, so you could start there. Work your way back. Mark made fun of me. I brought up my split the baseball season in half idea once again, because if you take a look at the standings, all 6 divisions are within 4 games. Think about how much drama we'd have. And
TNT like drama. That's how much drama there would be.
Yeah, TBS, very funny. Right. Uh-huh. So, I'm telling you, baseball's missing the boat. You're all wrong. I'm right.
And we're all wrong.
Yep. It's one of the very few things that I sound like that on.
And you're convinced of it, too.
I really
mean, there is no way to ever change your mind. I've known you a long time. You are as convinced of this as you are of any other fact out there.
Because it's twofold. Not only all the teams right now that are, Pittsburgh a game out, Miami 4 out, Arizona a game and a half out, Detroit 2 out, and what it would, the excitement it would create for a month, but also all the teams that, San Diego, St. Louis, the White Sox, who've just gotten off the horrendous starts. And in a month, they'd be able to wipe the slate clean. And then the teams that would know, hey, we've already clinched a playoff spot. Like, ask a Twins fan right now. Ask a Twins fan. You want to play 4 more months to lock down the Central, or you want to take your shot for another month? And we can guarantee you a playoff spot. It'd just be a matter of what seed you are. I think they say sign us up. I'll take the chances in a month. I don't want the Guardians chasing us down again.
You need some backing in a road tour.
I do.
Moulton split season tour.
Yep. If I could just get Rob Manfred to put it down on a piece of paper. Every time he puts a crazy bat blank idea down on a piece of paper, he ends up making it happen.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1790, the U.S. copyright law is enacted.
Why?
1885, Dr. John Harvey Kellogg files an application for a patent for a flake cereal. Cornflakes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if we went corn or frosted right away.
We went corn long before we went frosted. Come on, it was Dr. Kellogg.
Yeah, whatever.
Wasn't his crazy younger brother, Keith. 1930, the British Amateur Championship at St. Andrews, Bobby Jones wins for the first leg of his Grand Slam. At that time, it was the British Open, the British Amateur, the U.S. Open, and the U.S. Amateur.
And for the longest time, it's why winning the U.S. Amateur counted as a major. I mean, if you go back and look and listen to Nicklaus winning the 86 Masters, Summerall and Venturi say that's number 20 because he had won 2 U.S. Amateurs. Somewhere between Jack in 86 and Tiger in 97, they stopped counting the U.S. Amateur as a major, which is funny because Tiger won the thing 3 times.
1942, Sam Snead wins the PGA for his first major. He would win it again in 49. It would be the first time that a Masters champion wins the PGA in the same calendar year. 1967, A.J. Foyt wins his 3rd Indy, weaving through a pileup on the final lap.
There you go.
That was for you, David.
Yeah, racing back to the finish line. You're damn right. Man, I missed that. I know it's dangerous. Don't know what to tell you. Getting in a race car is dangerous.
John and Yoko would record Give Peace a Chance in a Montreal hotel today in 1969, and Stevie Wonder would release My Cherie Amour on the same day.
Wow. That's not bad. You got to admit.
83, the Sixers get it done, taking down the Lakers in a sweep.
Faux. Turned out to be faux.
87, Edmonton beats Philadelphia for their third consecutive Stanley Cup.
Hextall wins the Conn Smythe, though, for the Flyers in 87. He was that good.
And think about it. It was a sweep for Edmonton. They won it in 4 games.
Wait, not 87.
I'm sorry. That's in 7. I read that wrong. Too many numbers in a row there.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was 3 out of 4 for Edmonton there. 84, 85, 87. 86 was when, who was his defenseman? Was it Steve Smith?
Steve Smith banked it off his own.
Put it off Grant Fuhr's skate and into the net, and they lost to Calgary.
And 2 years ago, Naomi Osaka pulls out of the French after refusing to do the post-match press conferences, citing her mental health.
By the way, have we seen or heard from her much since?
Not really.
No.
Walt Whitman and John Bonham each would have celebrated birthdays today. Clint Eastwood's 93.
And he'd kick your ass.
You're damn right he would. Joe Namath is 80.
Unbelievable. Joe Willie. Mom, are you listening?
Not anymore. She's not paying any attention to anything that's being said for the rest of the show. Jim Craig is 66. Chris Elliott from Letterman and Other Things is 63. Daryl McDaniels, known better as DMC, the other half of Run, is 59. Brooke Shields is 58. Kenny Lofton is 56. Colin Farrell is 47. Jordy Nelson is 38. And for Felipe, Waka Flocka Flame is 37.
All I want to do is sit back and watch you move, and I'll proceed to throw this cash. All that.
Uh-oh.
He's feeling it, even though he's been told not to sing.
In your jeans. Anyway, continue.
Now he thinks he's spitting bars.
And of course, Felipe, the difference between you and I, when you started the lyrics and you said, all I want to do, I started going Sheryl Crow, is have some fun. I got a feeling. All right.
Yeah.
You know, a lot went on today that I thought you would jump on. I'm just saying. Big Ben rang out for the first time today in 1859. That had to shock the blank out of him. Also, the BBC today, 46 years ago, I guess, 1977, banned the Sex Pistols' God Save the Queen. Best thing that ever happened to them.
No doubt.
It and them became huge. Benjamin Netanyahu elected Prime Minister of Israel for the first time today in 96. He's been elected 6 times. Hell, he's one of those, like, you know, old mob boss mayors. They get indicted. They still get elected. In Linden, New Jersey, they reelected a mayor one time. He was in jail. They reelected him. Anyway, that's all I got.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Thousands of dollars of stools were stolen from Dan Huddock. But 3 days later, he received an anonymous phone call stating someone had posted all of his tools for sale on Facebook. Cape Coral Police helped Dan Huddock get his tools back. He is very happy about it, and it's good enough for us today. For the bad, we go to Golden Gate. where 2 dead, decomposing sheep were dumped along the road on 42nd Avenue.
Holy mackerel.
No sheep, not mackerel.
Yeah, listen, you've got a lot of places with the bad and ugly. You've never gone decomposing sheep. Hello.
They were found because the dogs carried it into the kids' sandbox and then buried it for the people who lived there to find. And finally, the ugly. We go to Pennsylvania, where a school bus driver is in a little bit of trouble. Jack Strohmeister has been charged with unlawful restraint and assault. He was having trouble with one of the kids on the school bus, so he duct taped him to the seat. A move that I hadn't seen since Bobby Fondren was duct taped to a desk when I was in the 3rd grade at Havens Elementary. That teacher got fired then, and that was the 70s. Can't imagine what's going to happen to this bus driver that duct taped the 10-year-old to the seat. That's the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, May the 31st, 2023.
You just can't discipline like you can back in the olden days.
You get up out of that desk one more time, I'll tie you to it. He got up out of that desk. She tied him down with jump rope and tape. It was the last we saw of Mrs. Hoffman, substitute teacher for the remainder of 3rd grade.
Man, my mother got out of the school district just in time. Just in time. Man, oh man. Whoo-wee. I thought you were going to choose for the ugly Al Pacino.
Oh, back at it again.
So don't know if you've heard. It made news a couple weeks ago. Didn't De Niro just have another kid?
Yes.
And what's Bob, like 79? Something like that?
Exactly. I think you're right on to that.
Okay. Well, apparently Al Pacino's about to father another child. He's 83. His girlfriend's 29.
Good to see everything's still working.
He already has 3 kids, 33. So think about it. He became a dad at 50 for the first time. And then he had twins who are 22. So he had twins when he was 60 or 61.
Plug in that Vince Carter meme. I got one more in me.
Hey now.
I love it when the generations cross over. That's outstanding. Listen, we got, if you really need something, Golf Channel this afternoon, early evening, Florida against Georgia Tech for the, men's national championship. It's match play. It's a team competition. Florida trying to make it a hell of a week. I mean, they had the individual title, just the 3rd one ever in school history, going for a natty today in men's golf against Georgia Tech. But, we got a full day of baseball. You got 6 afternoon games. One of them's Tampa Bay, 2:20, North Side against the Cubs. Good pitching matchup. 2 starters are combined 13-3. Got the Marlins tonight, 6:40 against the Padres. I'm curious, Mark, will there be any streaming technical difficulties? There won't be for those of us in Florida, who watch the Marlins game the way we always do, Bally Sports. But the Bally Sports of San Diego stopped sending the money to the Padres yesterday. And so Major League Baseball's streaming the game today to San Diego. It's free for the rest of the week. Beginning Monday, you got to pay $19.99 a month or $75 for the rest of the year.
Which, if you're paying your cable bill, is a pain in the ass. It got more expensive for you to watch your team.
Correct. In the future, it could be much cheaper if you're going to cut the cord. Right. So there you go. Remember, Braves have lost 2 in a row. They're in Oakland. Really? Can the A's first 3-game winning streak of the season be at the expense of the Braves?
You've got to bet a large amount of money on the Braves today.
And they're only minus 240. I thought they might be minus 440.
I'm with you.
Not only that, they're going up against the guy for the A's, Mark Caprillion, who's 0-5 with an 8.45 ERA. The $17 I got left are going on the Braves.
It'll only win you 7, but it'll be worth it.
Damn right.
We'll work that account up as fast as we can, David. We're on a roll, baby.
Yeah.
Just betting against the A's. Hope you enjoyed it, everyone. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning. Josh Pate to talk some college football on the show right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa.